Welcome to the Occult Rejects. This episode, we got a couple of rejects with us, and we got two guests, and one's a returning one and one's a new one. And very excited. We're going to be getting into numbers. You know I love my Gematria. But before we introduce the guests of the show, we're going to start off with everybody else. First, we got Lisa, the Occult Reject, mad scientist. What is going on? How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. You know, Gematria has been one of my favorite things because I know nothing about it, so I want to learn everything about it. So I'm really excited for this talk. Thank you very much for having me on, and looking forward very much to the discussion.
Of course. Even though you're not into numbers, anytime I've probably done a lot of Gematria work for the show myself without a guest, it's probably been with you. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
oh,
so
and
you have
a
to
plug,
it in your own way.
Can I plug occultresearchinstitute.org? Ethan and some of the other rejects have contributed to occultresearchinstitute.org, so check us out there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And we got the man himself, Ethan Indigo. What is going on, sir?
Peace, everyone. Nick, thanks for having me. Rambo, AJ, I'm excited to hear about your Gematria insight and ideas, and TJ, of course. And great to see everybody. And yeah, writer on the esoteric and the exoteric, a couple articles on Occult Research Institute and elsewhere, easy to find on the social media. So excited to be here. Peace.
Awesome. No, thank you very much. I was glad you were able to make it, Ethan. Always appreciate you jumping on. And we got the one and only Julia. What is going on? How are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm excited for this one. I was on with AJ before, and I kept saying, oh my God, like all the connections. It was crazy. So definitely excited. First time meeting Rambo, and it's going to be a good one, I can tell. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And thank you for joining us. And we got our man TJ. What is going on, sir? I'm glad you were finally able to make it onto another Occult Rejects. We missed you.
Right on. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I write the lead Gematria section on occultrejects.org. So
oh my God, yes, that's true, TJ.
So
I'm
that's
so
what
sorry.
I'm known for, and I'm like AJ was one of my Gematria dudes I brought on, and now he's bringing on Rambo, who I'm excited to learn and share from.
Yeah, that is wild. Think about that. That's right. Yeah, you put me onto him, and now that's awesome. That's great stuff right there. Thank you very much, TJ. I'm really happy you're able to jump on. It's been a minute, but it's always great having you here, sir. And we got a returning guest. We got AJ. What is going on, sir? Let everybody know where they can find all your amazing work.
Nick, how are you, my friend? Thank you again so much for opening the door to your platform today. I'm really excited about this one. Just got to extend a thank you to TJ for allowing me to come on the first time. So I appreciate you allowing me to come back. My name is AJ. I go by BalllDontLie with 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find me on Instagram at BalllDontLie with 3 L's in Ball. And same with my new YouTube channel, which I just started a couple months ago. And I'm really excited to be joining forces today with Rambo, aka the Truth Codes. I'll let him do his thing in a second. But we also have our own weekly show that we do as well. On Tuesday nights on my YouTube channel, and that's at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. And lastly, I do have a Patreon page for those that are interested in kind of the decoding of sports when it comes to trying to predict roughly future outcomes. So you guys can find all that. The links are in the description. So thank you again, Nick. Really appreciate it. And Lisa, it's very nice to meet you. Julia, it's really nice to see you again as well. And Ethan, got your book. I'm halfway through it, and I really appreciate the work that you put into your research as well. So
you're very kind to support me and mention it. I appreciate you so much, AJ, and all you do. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you very much, AJ. And for real, thank you guys for coming on and bringing the topic. Really, you guys are the ones bringing the work, so I really appreciate it. And finally, the man himself, Rambo. We heard about him the whole time. Last time AJ was on, so here he is. What's going on, sir?
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank AJ first and foremost for setting it up and spreading the word about my work and appreciating my work. And I thank you, Nick, for hosting. And what I do is I analyze the world. You can call it metaphorically the Matrix. Hi, Susan Donahue in the chat. If the world is a metaphor for the Matrix, which is quite popular now since the movie came out, what I do is I look at what appears to be the code to the quote unquote matrix, and what I see is the mystery traditions. Now, I'm not an expert in any one thing, but I see tarot, allegories, mythology, astrology. I'm not an expert on any one of those things, but I know a little bit about a lot of things like that, and I connect the dots, and I discover amazing, astonishing patterns. And it's philosophical work, just asking what the nature of this world is, who we are, what this world is, where we're from. I don't know if these questions are answerable, but I say that's the gist of my work. And of course, it includes the mysterious number letter code. That's why it's called spelling, spell casting. It does seem to have a creative property, the numbers as it coordinates with all the other things that I mentioned. That's what I call my my channel, which is on Patreon, The Truth Codes. I was on YouTube, but that got complicated. I deleted. I was 90,000 subscribers away from 10,000, and I deleted my channel for complicated reasons. But now I'm on patreon.com/The Truth Codes, and I'm also on Instagram, The Truth Codes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. I think I had already told you prior. I mean, maybe you kind of maybe said a little bit in your intro, but I was going to ask you, what was it with numbers? What got you into, like, was there a certain moment or a thing in time that it just clicked and you're like, oh, what's up with the number stuff? How did this happen?
In general, I started, I'd say around 2012, I was always just curious. Always had curiosity about the world. I just wanted to know. Put that plain and simple. And so I just look at, in general, just information, things like history, politics, news. Looking back, I trusted which is normal, the news and just the mainstream establishments. I trusted them more than I should have, but that's part of the evolution process. And I used to just like to analyze life. I look at religion. I didn't stick to one religion. I just had questions. And I did start to realize there's more to life than meets the eye on the surface. And I started, it occurred to me that the mystery, I'll call them the mystery traditions, had a lot to do with what's happening in the world. And that's when I started looking at, I guess the first thing that I guess alerted me to the more mystery tradition aspect of life was the death of Whitney Houston. She drowned in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. And the details of that, at the time, Google had not changed its algorithm to suppress quote unquote conspiracy channels. But the details of that alerted me. That was the one thing that started, like, wow, there's an occult, which I know occult isn't necessarily a negative term, but still, in this instance, it was negative. Human sacrifice. And the big thing was the number 11. It was on the 11th of February. And I saw a video, which, if this has happened in modern times, I probably would never have seen the video because they suppressed those channels. And it was the number 11 and the numerology of the number 11 and the power of the number 11 and how Aleister Crowley talked about the number 11 is the most, he singled out the number 11 as the most powerful number. And I was born on the 11th. So that was very intriguing. And I'd say that's what opened the door to it. And as a result of looking at those mystery elements, I did come across, I was watching Mark Passio. Mark Passio actually is the one whom I first, I first learned about, you can call it Gematria, tomato, but Gematria. I first learned about it from Mark Passio. And so I just did a little bit on my own, and some of the things I found were astonishing, absolutely astonishing. But Mark Passio while he introduced me to it, he didn't really, maybe not personally, like on his show, he didn't really go in depth in it. So I had to search extensively, like, this is really fascinating stuff. And I had explored Gematria. I just looked, I did web searches, and I searched on YouTube for videos. They all made it seem more complicated than it was. Most people said it doesn't apply to English. It's a Hebrew practice and a Greek practice, and that's it. That's when I came across, as a result of searching, the work of Zachary K. Hubbard. And he did a video, intro video on the number 47. And then I said, yeah, this is where I want to learn Gematria from. And it was through the work of Zachary K. Hubbard where my interest, or just my knowledge of Gematria and explanation of how the code works, specifically in English. That's where it started. And then, I started applying Gematria, as well as other things. to my analysis to the best of my ability of the world.
That is awesome. Nice. Yeah, Zachary does some awesome work. Actually, I meant to tell you prior to the show, I think I had a whole 2 minutes of fame on his show. He actually let me jump on for 2 minutes. I was trying to tell him something about Gematria. I think when I went on, I was like, yo, if you're trying to look for occult stuff, see if it matches like parts of the eyeballs or certain birds. And he was just like, yo, I don't know if he was like, yo, where's this dude coming from with this shit? But I was just like trying to tell him like certain things I noticed would pop up whenever I think I'm onto something, I don't know. So it is what it is. But I guess he was entertained enough to ask to come on the show. So hopefully that happens next week. But yeah, so I don't know. Where do you want to go? Like, I mean, I know you have a presentation. We don't have to get into that. Actually, first, does anybody have any questions for any of these guys before I start asking anything? No, everybody's good? Okay. So Rambo or AJ, did one of you want to go somewhere with this or bring anything up? Is there a hot topic right now that you guys want to talk about or whatever?
Really, all I have prepared for today is just kind of a cleaned up version of my presentation with Rambo on our weekly show yesterday with regards to the reported passing of Ozzy Osbourne. And I can already tell you, I know Julia's going to have some wide eyes when she sees some of those alignments. But we can touch on that at any point. I think maybe kicking things off with Rambo, we can maybe, get into that information as we go.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. So I guess if you guys want to get into the Ozzy stuff, Rambo, what did you think about it when you first started?
Right. So it caught me off guard. I was shocked.
So was I, actually. What's funny? What caught me off guard was his age. I was like, why did I think that dude was older?
Yeah, he looks older. Yeah, but I mean, in defense of him, he's had a pretty rough life. And I actually talked about it on the show. So the main angle I had on Ozzy was the MK Ultra mind control that he most likely clearly was subjected to, and they put a lot of the symbolism in, which they do with a lot of artists. The monarch symbol to symbolize the MK Ultra monarch, and that was pretty much what I focused on mostly with Ozzy, because I didn't talk about the incident. I know you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead generally, but it is noteworthy. His infamous incident at the Alamo, where he urinated on the Alamo while wearing a dress, while wearing Sharon's dress, and yeah, I mean, and that's not normal. I mean, so in I don't know, and the country seems to have forgiven him, but I think they've forgiven him for the wrong reasons. They've forgiven him just because of the power of celebrity. They should forgive him because of what he's been subjected to, which I say is trauma-based mind control, and that was evidence of that. And that's pretty much what I was the angle I looked at when it came to Ozzy, because it is rampant throughout, not just in show business, but especially in show business. That's where they really they put out the images of MK Ultra.
I was talking recently with really some bullshit about I think Tori Amos and Trent Reznor about how like they might have actually like had a tiff or whatever. And it's like, you would be like, yeah, how the hell did they like even like how do they come to know each other? And it's like they'll make remarks in their music about them like almost personally, and you almost start to wonder, it's like, were you kind of like Stranger Things scenario where it's like you knew each other growing up because of like the programs or whatever you were into or club. So like you kind of personally know that person, and that's like why you're saying like, oh dude, like you never hurt yourself today, because she knows he might actually be a straight bitch in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that how they talk shit? Because they actually know each other, because they might grow up in like these MK Ultra type fucking things for kids.
I think they do. I think they 100% know. I think they're all characters too, like Ozzy. In that whole Sharon, get me a cigarette. And it's like you can't even tell what the fuck he's saying half the time. Like, I think that was all a persona. These are characters. They went to like some type of MK Ultra acting school. And yeah, no, I'm with you, Nick. I think for sure.
Wasn't even like, sorry, just real quick. When he started doing reality TV, like he was kind of like, he was around there when Trump was kind of pioneering it in a sense too, right? So it's just like, how much of that is real and how much was that acting? Because we all know now that reality TV is far from reality. But when those shows first came out, we all thought this was real. So interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the timing is always super interesting with these things, and how much it aligns with the world of sports, music, entertainment. Let's not forget what just rolled out at the end of 2024, which was Wicked, right? Which is the kind of the precursor to The Wizard of Oz. And then now we have part 2 of Wicked coming out 1 year, essentially 1 day short of a year, later this year. So Ozzy dies between the bookends of, you know, these new Wicked movies. Just as a latest example, don't forget about James Earl Jones, who played the original Mufasa, and then they released the movie Mufasa, you know, right after. And he was also in the movie The Sandlot, right?
Did you bring
There
that
were
up
two-
last show, maybe too?
There were 2 teams that were referenced in The Sandlot. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees, who were just in the last World Series. See what I'm saying? So, you know, sometimes even not even with the numbers, you can just pay attention to what's going on in the world of news, entertainment, etc. And then these reported deaths that keep rolling out, they seem to fall in line very often.
I can
I
actually
wanted to
show
show-
how Back to the Future actually predicted a Super Bowl. Super Bowl 50, Back to the Future predicted Super Bowl 50.
All right, yeah, let's go for it.
I'll show that in my presentation. Yeah.
Oh, do you want me to bring that up now, or?
Yeah, I was going to introduce Back to the Future first, but it looks like Ozzy Osbourne is the primary topic for now.
I had one thing interesting with Ozzy Osbourne, and he brought up Trump because he had beef with Trump because Trump was on Twitter using Crazy Train to like slam other people, and Ozzy was against it. That was in 2019.
Right.
Ozzy Osbourne dies on the 2-year anniversary of Elon Musk buying Twitter, which is a pretty interesting thing. And then he died on 722, which is a huge code. I think we kind of covered it a little bit last time we were on with AJ, just like a little side note thing. But it has to do with pi. 22 divided by 7 is the smallest fraction that you can get to the closest number of pi. 22 divided by 7 equals 3.14. And so on and so forth. And that's connected to money. We don't need to get into that deep later, but I don't know. This felt like a significant shift. Someone commented like when we first went on about like this feels like just as big of a shift as like when Kobe died. Even though it's like we were expecting Ozzy because he did his last show and stuff, it still just felt like a significant kind of shift where it just felt very big, very iconic person to pass.
Yeah, I was actually like, what? Like, even though it's like, why is that so like such a surprise because of the life he lived, but it's still surprising.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I requested to share a screen just since we're on the topic of Ozzy. So I guess if anything, I'll dive in and just knock out the slides I have prepared.
Sure.
Pretty much all numerically based. Gematria isn't just, you know, the letter number combination, but a lot of times you got to pay attention to the date durations in alignment with what they're known for, right? Nick, you were talking about the reality show, The Osbournes,
Yes.
things like that. So I'll just dive into it real quick. You know, for those that aren't aware, I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, his whole persona was very satanic, to say the least. And so first and foremost, I took a look at the founder of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. And of course, you know, he's born April 11th, the date written 4/11. And you measure from Ozzy Osbourne's reported death, it's exactly 4 months and 11 days. So it started there. Don't forget about the song Mr. Crowley, right, from Black Sabbath. Essentially worshiping this guy, but you know, he's a very well-known occultist. And sure enough, you measure from Aleister Crowley's date of birth back to the reported death yesterday of Ozzy, 11 weeks and 5 days, and that's a big number just in the English reverse cipher. A is 26, back to Z is 1. Lucifer equals 115. Not to mention too, just look at the date numerology, you guys. When you add up the way that the date was written yesterday, 7 plus 22 plus 20 plus 25 equals 74. And then you can break out 2025 to 2025, you get 38. Well, in the base ciphers of Gematria forwards, Lucifer also equals 74 and 38. So that's 3 of the 4 base ciphers of the word Lucifer that fall right in line with this. And please feel free to ask a question if yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it gets you every time.
Crazy.
Gets you every time.
It really does. I mean, when you know what to look for, right? So take a look at this. We just touched on the date of birth of Aleister Crowley, and we were talking about how it was 4 months 11 weeks and 5 days. Well, you can also break that down to just total days, and it's a span of 82 days, which is interesting because Black Sabbath equals 82.
Yo, Trump, his texts are 8s and 2s.
There you go. And that's just in the simplest cipher. A1, B2, C3. Add up Black Sabbath, you get 82. You can also include the end date, okay? Meaning essentially the span of days from yesterday's reported death to what would be Aleister Crowley's upcoming birthday. If you include the end date, you get 83. And that matters because devil equals 83. And for some more 83s, let's talk about the founding date of the Church of Satan, which was April 30th. And you just go back to the last founding date of the Church of Satan, you also got 83 days there. And 83 days forwards, like I mentioned, when you include the end date with Aleister Crowley's date of birth.
Oh, damn.
You could also, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
The 8 and 2s, but I don't know about, I've never really noticed 83s, but the 8 and 2s I do think is like, I've always said I think that covers the path of Tahuti. And I do think death could be even associated with that number.
It absolutely is. I mean, the word murder equals 83.
Oh.
That's why the song "Murder by Numbers" by the Police came out in the year 83.
Oh shit!
That's why Prince rolled out that song "I Would Die for You," written out the number 4, the letter U. U, the 21st letter. He ends up dying on 4/21, but he wrote that song in 83 as well. So you got that. You could also say that from the last founding date of the Church of Satan, it's 2 months and 23 days, which matters because, once again, the simplest cipher, the synagogue of Satan equals 223, which is the reverse of the number of skull and bones, 322, known as the Brotherhood of Death, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about Wicked earlier. Just notice from the release date of the first part, if you will, of this movie Wicked, which is essentially a precursor to The Wizard of Oz, right? Ozzy Osbourne. Notice that it's a span of 123 days before the anniversary of that release date, November 22nd. And that matters because Ozzy Osbourne equals 123. Number of a man equals 123. That phrase is referenced in Revelation 13:18, which references the number of the beast, which is 666. But also Ozzy's birthday, December 3rd, written 123. Perfect. And Nick, you were talking about the Osbournes.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the final episode date of the Osbournes, March 21st. Right? And when you measure from Ozzy's reported death news yesterday back to the anniversary of this final episode, you also get 123 days. And you could also say that 123 days is also 17 weeks and 4 days. Okay. And that's a big number because number of the beast. Once again, like notice how often we're using the simplest cipher here. We're not even using very complicated calculations. But 17 weeks and 4 days, number of the beast equals 174, which is 666. And when you take a look at part 2 of Wicked, it's called Wicked for Good. It's releasing on November 21st later this year. That's 122 days. And that's huge. I mean, for people that have been doing the Gematria thing for a while, it's a big satanic number because words like Satanist, satanic, Satanism all equal 122. And talking about the Church of Satan, it was originally founded in San Francisco, which equals 122. And San Francisco is located on the 122nd Meridian West.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it keeps going.
The devil just lives inside this guy or lived inside this guy. That's so crazy. Look at all this stuff.
You know what's interesting? Oz in Hebrew gematria equals Nazi. That's interesting.
Hmm.
When you talk about like Wizard of Oz, because then there's also Libra Oz by Aleister Crowley.
I was gonna say that.
I always pointed out how all the like mainstream comedians all moved to Austin, Texas, right? The
True.
mothership. Yeah.
My new stomping grounds. Of course.
Say hi to Joe Rogan for me.
Yeah, right.
Yo, there's a bunch of Temple of Set guys that live out there. You know that?
Oh, for sure. Trust me, I've seen a lot of weird stuff out here. There's a reason why they say keep Austin weird.
Oh, it's not as weird as it used to be, but
no, that's true. That's true. But really, in closing, you guys, the community too was touching on this podcast that the Osbournes used to have. I don't know if they're still doing it, but you take a look at one of these episodes that is titled Satan. It's the first thing in there: Satan, Bilderberg Group, and the Illuminati invite only. Well, that released on September 26th in 2023, which is very interesting when you just measure from that date in 2023 to yesterday's reported news.
What the hell kind of title is this? Where'd you get that from?
This is the Osbournes podcast. I believe
they talked about that stuff. They talked about the Bilderberg Group.
I didn't listen to it, but I pulled it up.
It surprises me.
I think they did kind of entertain some conspiracies in their shit. Yes, actually.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. They put Satan right in the front of the title, and sure enough, 666 days after this episode, we get the reported death of Ozzy. And this is the last slide I have, really, going back to the Osbournes, like Nick mentioned earlier, the kind of one of the OG reality TV shows. Take a look at the first episode, right? The first episode was released on March 5th. And when you just measure once again from the reported death of Ozzy yesterday, on July 22nd, written 22/7, to the upcoming anniversary of that first episode, you get 227 days, just reflecting the date of his death. And 227 is related a lot to pi, because 22 divided by 7 equals 3.14. If you type out 22 divided by 7 as words, you're going to get 314. So there's kind of this cyclical pi alignment that's going on as well. But yeah, that's all I really have for you guys today.
There's one more, because you had the 223s going. When you type in his full name, John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, into the calculator in reverse, that equals 322.
Oh.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you, Nick, for allowing me to share that.
So, yeah.
Since we were talking about it, I thought I would just throw that in there.
Yeah. Rambo, was there anything you wanted to add to the Ozzy?
So the 314 is interesting, the pi number, because 22 divided by 7, 3.14. That's also a date. 314 is also the date, March 14th, which happens to be the birthday of Albert Einstein, which relates to Back to the Future, because that's the name of Doc Brown's dog. And in my presentation, I'll explain why. Specifically, did they name his dog Einstein? It has to do with what's called time dilation, which is an actual scientific thing where once you go past the speed of light, time actually stretches, which is a scientific fact. And it's based on Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. And it's called time dilation. And which is related to time travel. And because of that, they named the dog of Doc Brown Einstein. It's not a random name, Einstein. Again, and that ties into the 314. That's Albert Einstein's birthday. So that's just some synchronicity with Back to the Future. There's more of a gematria connection there too, with time dilation.
All right. Did you want to get into that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can start for a little bit. Now I'll pause if for anyone wants to add or
sure
ask a question.
Let me know if you want me to pull up your thing or whatever you want me to.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have my screen. I'll scroll through my screen. So, yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Right. So we're talking about Back to the Future now. And the question is, why are you talking about Back to the Future now? In 2025. And that's actually why I will explain its relevance this year specifically, which is related to Gematria. So I think Wikipedia has a pretty good explanation of what Gematria is. I'll just, as an introduction, I'll just go by, Wikipedia's opening paragraph. In numerology, Gematria is a practice of assigning a numerical value to a name, word, or phrase by reading it as a number, or sometimes by using an alphanumeric cipher. The letters of the alphabets involved have standard numerical values, but a word can yield several values if a cipher is used. So what they're saying there is a word can have a numerical value, but that depends on the cipher. There are multiple ciphers in Gematria, and I'll just use the 4 base, very easy to understand. There's one other cipher I'll talk about. And we'll use the word time, the perfect word to use as an example. So the first cipher it's the simplest. It's also called simple Gematria. You can call it ordinal on the calculators. Gematrinator.com is the most popular Gematria calculator website. But it's A through Z, and each letter of the alphabet has a numerical value based on its order that it appears in the alphabet. It's very simple. So A, the first letter, has a value of 1 through Z, 26. The 26th letter has a value of 26. Then you'll add the values of the letters that make up a word, and the word will have a value based on that. So the other cipher is full reduction, but it's also called the Pythagorean cipher. Now, this is a single-digit cipher only. So what it does, it takes the first double digit is J, which is 10, through to Z, 26. And the way you reduce double digits to single digits is by adding the digits of the double digit number and getting its sum. So J is the 10th letter. You add the digits of 10, 1 plus 0, J equals 1. L would be the 12th letter. 12 is 1 plus 2, you get 3, all the way to 20 to Z, 26. 2 plus 6 is 8, and that's the Pythagorean cipher, and that's how you get the values in the Pythagorean cipher. This is actually considered the purest cipher of English Gematria. And then you have the reverse as well. So you'll start with Z as the first letter with 1, and A as the last letter, which will be 8. That's in the full reduction Pythagorean. You call it reverse full reduction. The same can be done with simple. You'll do a reverse simple, or you'll start with Z is 1 and A is 26. And those are the 4 base ciphers. So I'll look at the word time. So why is it so significant? Well, in the Pythagorean cipher, which I just showed here, single digits only, the letters that make up the word time. So T is 2, because T normally is the 20th letter. You reduce by adding 2 plus 0 to get 2. I, the 9th letter. M is the 13th letter. 1 plus 3 equals 4. E is the 5th letter. According to this cipher, the letters that make up time sum to 20. It's very significant. Now you look at the reverse of this cipher. It starts with A, ends with Z, and you do the reduction. And in the reverse full reduction, time equals 25. And this tells you one of the reasons why time is so relevant in the year. I'll show them together. 2025. So, and I'll go into back. Yeah, and I'll go back to Back to the Future.
Whoa, I wasn't expecting that.
No, yeah. So there are more clues on 2025. Now, there's another cipher I'm going to introduce here. It's called the Agrippa cipher. It can also be called the Latin cipher. This cipher was developed by Agrippa, named Henry Cornelius Agrippa,
Yes.
who was he was a polymath, and so this is just an excerpt from Albert Mackey's History of Freemasonry. Henry Cornelius Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy may be considered the textbook of the old Rosicrucian philosophy. So that's the significance of Henry Agrippa. Well, he came up with a cipher. He existed in the 15th and 16th century. So looking at the word time in his cipher is 144, and this is how it synchronizes with, shows you there's some kind of universal synchronicity to this, because 144 is significant. That's the number of minutes in a day. Is 1,440 minutes in a day. 60 minutes times 24 hours is 1,440. That's related to time, and time just happens to sum to 144 in the Agrippa cipher. And I'll show you how this becomes very significant. So that kind of lays the foundation, I guess, for understanding Gematria. Is fairly simple, and why 2025 is so relevant to the time theme. And so 25 is it's very significant in Back to the Future. So I'll just show a clip here from Back to the Future, how it shows the importance of the number 20.
Are those white clocks right here? Yeah. It's 8 o'clock. Perfect. My experiment worked. They're all exactly 25 minutes slow. Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that it's 8:25? Precisely. Yeah. I'm late for school.
Right, so there's a significance of 25 and back. So it starts. That's the opening scene. It already establishes the number 25. All the clocks are turned 25 minutes behind. Then, so he's late for school. He has to rush to school, and he hitches a ride on a skateboard to the back of a car, and you can see in the background 25 miles an hour speed limit, and the date on which Back to the Future is set is October 25th. So he starts on the 25th of October.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're crushing me already. You're crushing me.
Get that 8 and 2 again with the 825.
Can I just say too, really, Rambo, what was the name of the farewell tour of Ozzy Osbourne?
Back to the Beginning.
Yeah. There you go.
What the fuck? Come on.
Yeah, so this establishes 25 with Back to the Future. Time, it's about time 25, 20 and 25 in Gematria. It starts on the 25th of October. The clocks are 25 minutes behind. It's 8:25. When he thought it was 8 o'clock, he gets he hitches a ride. He's late. It's 25 miles an hour. This is pointing to 25. Now, what is the mythological ruler of time? That is Kronos of ancient Greece, who is Saturn to Rome. So this is always something significant to look at, is the economists when they have their year I guess prediction, or their first issue of the year, the Economist magazine. Well, they'll talk about the year ahead, the world ahead. Well, for 2025, they had the Economist has a collage, and what's at the top of the collage for the year 2025 on the Economist? The planet Saturn, the ruler of time. So even the Economist has kind of established that. And so we have Donald Trump as president, and Donald Trump is very much associated with Back to the Future. One of the writers and producers of Back to the Future, Bob Gale, he said the character Biff Tannen, the arch villain, he is based off of Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is the inspiration for Biff Tannen. Now, this is the New York Post, and if you see the date here, it's kind of small if you can see it. I actually saw this in person. I just happen to live in New York, so I was in the supermarket and I saw this. I thought it's like something like come off of my channel or something. I couldn't believe the New York Post. This is mainstream is doing this. This is October 25th. Remember what October 25th is? That's when Back to the Future starts, on October 25th. So the New York Post knew what they were doing when on October 25th, 2024. This was their headline. It was Donald Trump.
Come on, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so I'm not sure it's not just me.
Rambo, please give me a second to wrap my mind around this.
Even with the time being 8:25, like October, octagon, like the 8, the oct is October is a secret 8, so it's like it's twice in there,
yeah. Yeah, and 8 is related to time. It's the infinity symbol.
Yeah.
So
is this real?
Yeah,
the magician
this is
too.
real. The only thing I regret is I didn't buy the actual copy. I was walking by. I would never have known about it. I was leaving the supermarket with my groceries, and I look at the newspaper rack, and this is Back to the Future, Donald Trump. This is stuff I've been talking about literally for years in my decodes. It's like,
it was meant for you to find it. Holy shit!
Yeah,
because it's like, look at this Back to the Future in all caps, like huge in your face, and they put it out on October 25th, the day Back to the Future starts on.
Yeah, so this is
like that's too much.
This was October 25th, 2024. Now, this was done 3 weeks before the election. If you remember the election date in 2024, it was November 5th. Why is November 5th significant? Because that's the date that Marty McFly time traveled to in 1955.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah. So it all has. I'll give you more examples of how Donald Trump. That's why he had to be president now in this time associated year, because of his association Back to the Future. We've already established he's the inspiration for Biff Tannen, and so his son, Baron Trump. So there's this 19th century, these 19th century novels. This is a fictional character. This is all verified. It's authentic. The writer is Ingersoll Lockwood, and he had some books about a fictional, I don't quote unquote fictional. Now, I'm starting to wonder if it is a fictional character named Baron Trump, but Baron Trump spelled with one R. The Baron Trump we know, we think we know, it has two R's. It's Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. It's a 19th century novels about a time traveler named Baron Trump, a young boy named Baron Trump, and he's funded and assisted by a rich New Yorker named Donnie or Donald. That's in the book from the 19th century.
The fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been talked about a lot. How this, and there are other alignments too with the real Baron Trump and this fictional character. Again, there's somebody from New York City, a very rich man from New York City named Donald, who helps him in his time travel journeys. And this is actually a illustration from that book, 19th century book. This is actually an illustration of what the boy looks. If you look at a young Baron Trump, he looks just like this illustration from this time traveler. They say supposedly fictional character. So
100, yeah.
Yeah. So it's called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey by Ingersoll Lockwood, and it's all verified, and it's mysterious how it synchronizes. But again, so this is establishing how Donald Trump is so linked to time travel. And another thing too, his uncle Fred Trump, I believe, he had access to, and think of what an elite level you have to be at to have access to Nikola Tesla's papers. Donald Trump's uncle had direct access to Nikola Tesla's papers. I mean, who is he to gain custody of Nikola Tesla's papers?
I believe too, to build on that is great information, Rambo. To build on that, Fred Trump was really big into radar technology and development, and that was kind of like or could have been encoded for just top secret technology at that point in time. And he was potentially involved with the Philadelphia experiment too, on top of all that strangeness that you just mentioned.
Right. Yeah. So you're talking about time travel and multi-dimensional travel, and Donald Trump's in the middle of it. You got to wonder. Like I said, you don't know what's real anymore, and they're not going to share all that they know. Sometimes they'll code it into things like this. So remember, I talked about how time is 144 in the Agrippa cipher, and they're 1,440 minutes in a day. Well, I have another clip. This is from, again, this is 2025. This is what's going on in 2025. His name is Michael Kratsios. He's the White House Director of Science and Technology. And he made the headlines with this statement.
So much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Yeah, so that's just a small clip, just to get it straight from the horse's mouth. And it made the headlines. He said we have the ability to conquer space and time, basically. And that's what the headlines were. So this is Newsweek. White House says it has tech that can, quote, manipulate time and space. And you just saw that. That was a clip from his speech, which, again, so they're wondering, what, is it a figure of speech? Just mean, technology has advanced so we can manage our time better? Or does he mean it better?
You know what's really interesting, not to interrupt you, and not to
no, go ahead.
Try to promote the guy either. I mean, I brought his name up a few times recently, but like even Ashton Forbes is getting into saying that our government has like tech that does this. Or like he's even saying that they have, like, he thinks that, like, he's claiming that's how, if Iran really got bombed, that's how it was done. It was like kind of like not Back to the Future, but they manipulate time and space. Basically, just take a portal there and drop shit and disappear. That's why nothing happens, because they just show up and disappear. So it's just like interesting how he's even kind of claiming that the White House does have, that type of tech.
Yeah, so he talks about annihilating distance. So teleportation is part of this as well.
Yeah.
What I find interesting, is this synchronistic, or did Newsweek plan this? I just looked at the time when this was published. It's published on April 17th, but look at the time it was published, 11:05. Remember, we're talking about 115, November 5th. That's when the election day was. This is the Trump White House director. Back to the Future goes back to November 5th. This was published at 11:05. I don't think that's a coincidence. But well, here's the details I go into. But look at, look at the date on which he made this speech. It wasn't a random date. It was Director Michael Kratsios. The speech was called Endless Frontiers Retreat, and it was in Austin, Texas. Interesting. We're just talking about Austin. Everything's planned where they were. It was on April 14th, which the rest of the world says 14th April. So that's 144. That's the Agrippa value of time. That's 1,440 minutes in a day. That is why they chose 14th April 144 to make this speech. So, none of this is coincidence. So just some of the headlines that came from this. White House exec forced to issue statement after claiming U.S. has technology to, quote, manipulate time and space. And I said, this is not a coincidence. They wouldn't do this in Trump's first time in office, because it wasn't 2025. This has to be done in 2025. They wouldn't have Biden do it, because Biden's not associated with time travel like Trump is. And in order to have it in 2025, you'd need Trump to have a split term. You couldn't have consecutive. It all seems perfectly planned out. You had talked about, what is it, Oz is Nazi. There's a Nazi connection to Back to the Future. And so speaking of time travel, there actually is a real life time travel experiment that was done by the Nazis. Now, you can debate whether or not, how successful their program was. And the program did continue after World War II. It was moved to Argentina. After World War II, I mean, it's unlikely that Hitler and a bunch of top Nazis actually died.
Yeah.
Many of them came to the United States, and not just Operation Paperclip. I know they call him Dr. Green. It was Joseph Mengele. He went to South America. He spent time in the United States. They said he called himself Dr. Green. So a bunch of them came to the United States and mostly South America, but other parts of the world as well. So their time travel project, or dimensional travel project, continued after World War II. And the best source on this, you'll get many sources on that, is the work of Joseph P. Farrell, who's a PhD from Oxford University. And he has a book called The SS Brotherhood of the Bell. So his research, he comes from an academic background. That's why I say he's the best source for this Nazi, it's a dimensional travel project.
Yes, I've actually tried to get him on for this stuff.
You have tried to get him
I
on?
tried to, yeah. I've gotten, I don't think either I can't find a contact or I haven't gotten a response. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of the two.
So good. So you're familiar with him.
A lot of people even asked to have him on. That's another thing.
So I think he's done the best work on illustrating how the Nazi Party did not lose. Germany lost the war. The Nazi Party did not lose the war. They're still alive. And you're seeing a few examples, and there are a lot of ways in which they code their presence. And so one has to wonder how successful this time travel project of theirs was. Well, again, so if you want to look into it, you can also look maybe on YouTube or some videos of some of his speeches, but look at his book, The SS Brother of the Bell. It's an academic work. It's the best work on this project that's available. Now, what's interesting about Michael Kratsios is he's with the he's a product of the World Economic Forum. So he's recognized by the World Economic Forum. So this is from his Wikipedia page. He says Kratsios was included in Fortune magazine's 40 under 40 list 2019 and was honored as a young global leader by the World Economic Forum. And here he is. This is from the World Economic Forum's website, where they talk about Michael Kratsios. So he is connected to the World Economic Forum. And who founded the World Economic Forum? It was Klaus Schwab. Now, Klaus Schwab's family is directly connected to the Nazi Party. This is from Wikipedia. hardly a conspiracy site. Klaus Schwab, his parents had moved from Switzerland. He was Swiss to Germany during the Third Reich. Now, most people you'd think would leave Germany during the Third Reich. No, his family was in Switzerland. Nice, bucolic, peaceful Switzerland moved to Germany because of the Third Reich, in order for his father to assume the role of director of Escher Wyss AG, an industrial company and contractor for the Nazi regime.
I think it would be kind of hard to. That would be a really weird explanation for like, why did you move there when that was going on? If you didn't agree with it. like that is kind of weird. How do you pull off that excuse? Like, what kind of job did you get? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So this is who Klaus Schwab is. This is his father, and it's very difficult to get any information on Klaus Schwab's early life. You can't get it. It's like super mysterious. There's reason to believe that his family still has some affiliation with the Nazi Party. Again, the Nazi Party did not die; it's still alive. I recommend the work of Joseph P. Farrell on that. He does, and this is Escher Wyss. This is his father, Eugene Wilhelm Schwab. So again, the Nazi Party is connected to time travel through this Bell project. The project is called Die Glocke. The Glocke in German means bell, which coincidentally sounds like clock in English, Glocke. So the bells was actually a pretty common figure to Nazi Germany. And there are a lot of Nazi connections in the modern day. They say Canada, they're talking about the former deputy prime minister of Canada to Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland. Her grandfather has direct Nazi connections. This is just an example of this is tabletmag.com. Canada's future prime minister needs to come clean about her Nazi collaborationist father. I have a clip on Klaus Schwab talking about the influence of the World Economic Forum, just to get an idea, straight from the horse's mouth. It's not.
When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin, and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, so that's Klaus Schwab himself bragging about the influence of the World Economic Forum, and famously they did this projection for 2030, which really created a lot of controversy, where they said you'll own nothing and be happy, and they said everything you'll need you'll rent, and it will be delivered to you by drone. And that's coming straight from the World Economic Forum, and you see it is directly connected to the Nazi Party. And Michael Kratsios, who made the time and space speech on 144, is connected. He's also a product of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged. He said the World Economic Forum had half of the Justin Trudeau cabinet. That's half of his entire cabinet. And Chrystia Freeland, his deputy has Nazi past, and the Nazis had their time travel project. So Nazis are very relevant. You just talk about Nazis in Oz, that connection. Well, we're seeing the Nazis are so relevant. So 88 was the big Back to the Future number. That was the speed in order to achieve escape velocity, to achieve time travel. 88. And why did they pick 88? Well, Trump is 88 for one thing in Gematria. In the simple cipher of English Gematria, Trump is 88. That's why you see a lot of 88. Mar-a-Lago was raided on August 8th by the FBI. He said Trump actually said that all the tariffs he's done has gained $88 billion for the United States. He didn't say where he got those figures. He didn't back them up, but he just announced, Donald Trump, $88 billion has been gained by the United States as a result of his tariffs. He faced 88 charges when those sham charges that he was facing before he was elected. He never looked stressed. He knew nothing was going to stick, but it was 88 indictments. That comes from the 88, the Gematria value of Trump. in the simple cipher.
Yep.
Now, 88 is also related to Nazis, because this is from the Anti-Defamation League, from their website on the number 88. It says 88 is a white supremacist numerical code for Heil Hitler. That's because Heil Hitler is HH, and H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So Heil Hitler is 88. So you see these Nazi connections, and it goes further. In the official canon of Back to the Future, so we know that Operation Paperclip, one of the most famous people from that is Werner von Braun, who actually, I think NASA pretty much owes his existence to him and Nazis. Nazis pretty much founded NASA.
I wondered if you were going to bring this up, because I think you're about to go down the Back to the Future Part 3 weirdness now, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but you can add. I might not necessarily. Yeah.
The in Back to the Future 3 is when Doc Brown says his family is the Von Brauns.
Yeah.
So that's actually my favorite out of all three of them. I like the third part the best. But I wondered if you were going to bring that up, because I always thought that was pretty significant that they tossed that in there right after the second part where they said all the Trump stuff. In the third part, now they're bringing up that Doc Brown is part of the Von Braun family. That's always been crazy to me.
Yeah, but now you see the Nazi connections. The Nazis did have an actual dimensional travel project. They are directly connected. It was called the Bell Project, and you see all these other Nazi connections. And they have a White House director of science and technology talking about dimensional travel on the date 144 when Trump is in office, and then the director himself is a product of the World Economic Forum, which is established by somebody whose family is directly connected to Nazis, and the whole 88 thing. So yeah, there's a Nazi connection to all of this. So it says, Doc Brown's ancestors were the Von Brauns. So
Rambo, can I interrupt your amazing presentation just to build upon what you were saying? You talk about the 8. If you look at the number 8 in Hebrew, it's the Chet. And if you look at the symbol itself, it looks like Donald Trump's hair.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It sounds silly, but it does. If you look at it, you're like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a great observation.
Just to build upon your amazing presentation. Sorry, that's it.
No, thank you. I mean, if anyone wants to add or ask a question, just please. I don't want to dominate everything. But so people have pointed out the amazing similarities in physical appearance between the original Superman, George Reeves, and Werner von Braun. It wouldn't really take much, as far as makeup and stuff, to even just slightly change but the structure of his face, the size of his head. There is amazing similarity between Werner von Braun and George Reeves, who played the original Superman. Now, talking about 2025 and its significance, what other movie has just come out in 2025? Superman. With all this going on, now there's a Superman that just got out in theaters. And it turned out, while the original Superman, I think it's very plausible, it could be Werner von Braun. It could have been him. So and that's Doc Brown, they say, is related to, he's a von Braun, basically. So they're telling you he's a Nazi. So, Doc Brown. So I talked earlier about time dilation, which is it's an actual scientific fact. This is from medium.com, but this is an example. Many sites will corroborate this. It says, imagine this. You leave Earth at 15 years old. You notice they'll use a lot of 5s in this example. And think of Back to the Future. It was released in 1985. They started in 1985. They time traveled to 1955 before it turned to 1985. In Back to the Future 2, they go to 2015. Again, so you're ending in 5. In Back to the Future 3, they go to 1885. They're always going to years ending in 5. 2025 is the year ending in 5. So this is an example of time dilation. It says, imagine this. You leave Earth at 15 years. Back to the Future went to the year 2015. 15 years old, in a spaceship traveling at the speed of light. This is all based on Einstein's theory of relativity. You spend 5 years, see how they love the number 5, exploring the cosmos. You left at age 15. You spent 5 years exploring the cosmos. When you return, you're 20 years old. Remember, time is 20, time is 25 in Gematria, 20 and 25. So you're 20 years old because you're at the speed of light for 5 years. But here's the kicker. Your friends back on Earth who were 15 years old when you left are now 65 years old. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But this mind-bending scenario is actually grounded in real science, thanks to Einstein's theory of relativity. Let's dive into the concept of time dilation. So that's what I talked about. Now, this is a scene. Oh, yeah, this also explains why Doc Brown's dog is named Einstein. It's not just, oh, I'm a scientist, he's the most famous scientist, I'll call him Einstein. No, it's directly connected to time dilation based on Einstein's theory of relativity. That's why the dog is Einstein. And this is a scene on Back to the Future 3 when he's on the train. The train is pushing the DeLorean because back in 1885, there are no there's no gasoline, and nothing can really reach 88 miles an hour. That's escape velocity to achieve time travel. So Doc Brown rigs a locomotive. He puts some crystals in the furnace to get it to go to 88 miles an hour, and it pushes the DeLorean to the time travel escape velocity. So that's the premise of the show. But look at this on the train. I know trains have this standard. There's a bell. There's a bell right behind the steam. And maybe this is standard for locomotives. But aren't we?
There's another bell connection, though, that's very significant to this. I don't know if you found it.
No, go ahead.
In this third movie, when he says, my ancestors were the Von Brauns, they're looking in an old history book, and there's a picture of Doc Brown, and he's there for the creation of the first bell of Hill Valley. And it's him standing next to a huge bell. Do you guys remember that in the third one?
I do remember that scene.
Yes, I do.
And then when Marty goes back to get him in 1885, Marty is then with him with the bell. So there's two pictures, both of them referencing like this big historic moment in time where they hang this bell in Hill Valley, which later becomes the clock tower. They replaced the bell with the clock tower. So, yeah, I think that's crazy.
No, yeah, thanks. Those are great additions. Absolutely. So again, that emphasizes the importance of a bell. Why are they emphasizing a bell in a movie about time travel? This goes back to the Nazi Brotherhood of the Bell, and I can't recommend Joseph P. Farrell's work enough. He's an academic, PhD from Oxford University, the SS Brotherhood of the Bell. That is what they're referencing, and we've seen all the Nazi connections. He just happens to be a von Braun. This is about the Nazi Brotherhood of the Bell. Now, what you'll notice here is the number of the locomotive that pushes the DeLorean. It's locomotive number 131. And this is all based on Gematria. It took me a while to figure. Where do you even start when you see 131? What could it possibly be? But when I stumbled across the time dilation, which is an actual scientific phenomenon, that explains why they chose specifically 131 for the number on the locomotive. And that is because in the simple cipher, the letters that make up the phrase time dilation sum to 131. And you know that time dilation based on Einstein's theory of relativity, and his dog is named Einstein. So that's why you have 131. And it's shown up in other places. So the thing that first got me onto Back to the Future this year is this story here. This is on February 4th. You could call it the 4th of February. Outside the United States, they say the 4th of February. This is Michael Jordan's son. Michael Jordan he's related to dimensional travel. He did the movie Space Jam with Bugs Bunny. And think of the term rabbit hole. A rabbit hole is a metaphor for a dimensional travel portal. A portal, transdimensional portal. That's what a rabbit hole is a metaphor for. And he goes through a rabbit hole portal in Space Jam with Bugs Bunny. And in Space Jam, one of the songs they have on the track, on the soundtrack, is a cover version of the Steve Miller Band's "Fly Like an Eagle." Sorry, the opening line of "Fly Like an Eagle" by the Steve Miller Band is "Time keeps on slipping, slipping into the future." So there's a time travel reference in the song "Fly Like an Eagle" by the Steve Miller Band. A cover of that was in Michael Jordan's Space Jam, which is about dimensional travel. Well, Michael Jordan's son, this year, 2025, they set the year off, this is what got me onto Back to the Future, with his son wearing the original Air Jordans, which I'm sure his son doesn't wear those every day, but he did for this occasion. His son wearing, and you can see, you have to see the police cameras, the arrest footage, to see that he's wearing the original Air Jordans that were released in 1984, the year before Back to the Future. Well, they say he got his Lamborghini stuck on train tracks. So now, as soon as I saw that, I said, this is a Back to the Future reference. This is Michael Jordan. This is in Florida. Michael Jordan's son's Lamborghini on train tracks in Florida. Like, how do you get your Lamborghini in this position? And I realized, no, that's a Back to the Future reference of when the DeLorean was pushed to 88 miles an hour by a locomotive. I knew that was a direct reference to that. And it's a big anniversary for Air Jordan shoes and clothing company and Back to the Future, because they're both celebrating their 40th anniversaries at the same time. Air Jordan was, again, this is on 4th February. That's Saturn in the reverse full reduction or reverse Pythagorean cipher, sums to 42. The time, the god of time, Saturn. That's why they picked the 4th of February for this ritual. And the Nike swoosh that Michael J. Fox wears. Think of his name, Michael Jordan, Michael J. Fox. And he wears the Nike. Michael Jordan wears Nike. The Nike swoosh is, it represents the ring around Saturn. And you saw Saturn's right at the top. The Economist magazine has Saturn at the top. This has to do with the ruler of time. Well, Air Jordan was first introduced on November 17th, 1984, a leap year. It's its 40th anniversary. The date numerology of November 17th, 1984, the first release of Air Jordan, which Marcus Jordan was wearing, a pair of the originals, is 131. 11 plus 17, November 17th, plus 19 plus 84, sums to 131. So you see how Michael Jordan, Michael J, ties into it, and how. So here's a picture of the DeLorean next to the locomotive, 131. And this is the date numerology of the release date of the original Air Jordans, which is when I saw this scene back in February. This is what got me started. I said, I think Back to the Future is relevant this year. They started back in February 2nd with this incident, which you should see the whole arrest photo. It's a complete farce. It's pretty.
Before you scroll up, I was actually on mute. I was trying to interject for
I'm sorry. Okay,
No, to the Jordan logo.
Oh, okay.
Just more Saturn stuff. That's the cube. His legs split like that and going up. Yeah. That's the Saturn black cube. That's making the cube on there. You put a cube directly over that. But
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure. And Rambo, I mean, what I love, I mean, besides the numbers, which are always mind blowing, and I'm very much able to quickly see exactly how you're getting to those numbers. I know for some people maybe new to the Gematria space, it takes a little time for that to digest. But Rambo, I love that quote you say. I had it written down somewhere. I can't find it at the moment, but you talked about a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yep.
But a symbol is worth 1,000 images. Did I get it right?
Yes, and yeah, there's a saying that a picture can express 1,000 words. It's a popular saying. I don't remember where I got this. I didn't make it up. I don't remember. It's a picture can express 1,000 words. A symbol can express 1,000 pictures.
Got it.
That's the first.
I was close. Yeah. No, I love that quote because what I've learned from you, Rambo, over time and just my research and the things that I'm kind of picking up on is a lot more symbolic than before the numbers come. And I always know as soon as I just start doing some date durations and looking at the Gematria, the numbers are always going to follow perfectly. But it's your work and how you present your research. I love the symbolic nature and the images that you provide. It's very educational.
Yeah, and thanks for the additions. If anyone sees anything, please jump in. I don't want to just dominate. So
what I will say is that it's very interesting that we're talking about this today, because today is also the death anniversary of Michael Jordan's father.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Which you know, I don't want to get us off topic here, but Rambo, what I've learned from you as well is how the Chicago Bulls intro song, right, is called Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project, and that is all about the heliacal rising of Sirius, where there's information that can be found out there that today, Rambo, is this where Sirius comes full circle now, or would you mind elaborating on that just for a quick second?
All right, okay, yes. So the star Sirius disappears from Earth's perspective for 70 days each year. That is because it is obscured behind the sun, and the star Sirius earned the moniker the sun behind the sun. And what has been said since ancient times, not just ancient Egypt, I guess they're the culture that I guess we've been allowed to understand, venerated the star Sirius. So while Sirius is behind the sun, they would say that it metaphorically, or maybe some people take it literally, it powered the sun. So if we're Earth, I mean, depends on the sun for life. So while Sirius is behind the sun is being powered by Sirius. So we're getting like the Sirius energy over that 70-day period. And the way, I mean, Sirius doesn't go behind the sun. Earth moves to a point where it's called a Sun-Sirius conjunction. You have Earth, the sun, and then Sirius in a straight line. And when does that happen? July 4th and 5th. That's why July 4th was picked for Independence Day, because it was a Sirius Sun conjunction. I can go into more, it's kind of off topic, as to how Sirius is coded into the establishment of the United States of America. But it was the establishment that was based on the veneration of the star Sirius when it's behind the sun. Now, when Earth moves to a point where Sirius comes back into view after the end of the 70-day period, that the very first point at which Sirius reappears, which it rises on the east, is called the heliacal rising of Sirius. In ancient Egypt, that is when they started their new year. The ancient Egyptian new year was based, it's called the Sothic, that's a Greek word for Sirius, was Sothis, the Sothic calendar. The new year started in ancient Egypt whenever the star Sirius reappeared, the heliacal rising of Sirius. So that was symbolic of the beginning of a new cycle. Now, if you look in modern times, now this changes over the years. It's not the same now as it was in ancient Egypt. There was a time when the heliacal rising of Sirius occurred on July 23rd. But in modern days, it happens. It's hard to even get an agreement when it is, but it also depends where you are in the world. But it's the first week of August, anywhere
July.
from what is that?
Going to be July, the Sirius one. I'm not trying to.
No, yeah. So yeah, the actual heliacal rising of Sirius now in modern time, as Sirius reappears, it's in August. It's at the beginning of August. Yeah. But in ancient times, there was a time. It changes. There was a time in ancient, you going way back, when it was July 23rd. Now, this is honored in Freemasonry. In Freemasonry, they ceremonially will honor the heliacal rising of Sirius on the 23rd of July. Now, the reason they choose 23rd of July, even though it doesn't rise now, that's not the time it rises in modern times, is because 23rd July is emblematic of the beginning of a new cycle. Because in ancient Egypt, the new year started with the rising of Sirius. So the 23rd of July.
May I add something? The nearby group, the Canaanites, there was Yahweh and Asherah before the biblical concept has taken over of just the one Yahweh. Yeah. And Asherah is the 70 strikes me, and I just wanted to point out that she was said to have given birth to the 7 Canaanite gods and pantheon. Rambo, you're familiar, it sounds like.
I just did a decode on Asherah. If you go to my channel, I just did maybe 3 or 4 decodes ago. I was decoding the Texas floods, and I talked specifically about Asherah. And I actually did point out, I got a clip, I showed a clip from the Encyclopedia Britannica of how she is said to have birthed 70 gods. I did a decode on Ashura, absolutely. And I talked about how she used to be honored in the temple. In fact, they had what's called the Ashura pole or the Ashura tree. It could have been an almond tree or an olive tree. And that was removed from Judaism after the tribes of Benjamin and Judah returned from Babylon. When they returned from Babylon, that's when they removed Ashura. Yes, I did a whole decode on that.
That's dope. Nick and I and Lisa and the Frauder himself, Frauder Ninja, we just did a show on Ashura related to the divine feminine and cannabis. And that's why as soon as you said 70, I was like, oh, there's the traditional and symbological being related to an astrological measurement. So great presentation.
No, thanks for the contribution. Divine feminine, honestly, in all the work I've done, that's a topic I always revisit. I'd say divine/sacred feminine is arguably, I'd say that's my main topic, honestly. And that's a topic I do like to discuss in depth because it is so central. And it's actually been the main thrust of my, I'd say my most recent, maybe 4 decodes, especially going back to the Camp Mystic destruction when they had the floods in Texas of the Guadalupe River, and that was a sacred feminine symbol. When they highlight females in a disaster, it has to do with destruction of the sacred feminine. So yes,
and Guadalupe is like the sacred feminine of North America, if you will.
Absolutely, Our Lady of Guadalupe, yes, who has the starry night. She has the head covering, the shawl, which is navy blue with stars. They get that from the ancient Egyptian goddess Nut, who's the night sky. She's arched over the world forward with the navy blue background and the sky. And think of how similar, if you're familiar with that image, how similar that is to the flag of the United States. That blue background with the stars on it. That comes straight from ancient Egypt. That's Nut.
You know what's interesting? Just want to throw that in. Well, first, like you would, Crowley would call that Newt, but Newt, yeah. Inside the lodges for the OTO, the ceilings are all done in kind of like black, but like almost like a bluish, and it has stars on the ceilings. And when I went to Rome, when I saw the Sistine Chapel, before that was painted over, the ceiling was the same shit. It was stars with that type of dark blue, black background. I just find that interesting how that seems to travel.
Yeah, that was also on the
different things.
Yeah, also on the ceiling of the Temple of Hathor, which is in Dendera, Egypt. Hathor is the sacred feminine before Isis. Isis kind of replaced Hathor, but it has that on the ceiling. It has the blue. It's more a lighter blue. This one, a blue background and all the pentagrams. Of course, the color's faded now. The colors are much richer. I think we know where the stars and stripes came from for the United States flag. So it's all the sacred feminine too. So so the heliacal rising of Phoenix is ceremonially in Freemasonry honored on the 23rd of July, even though that's not the actual date. But the reason they do that is because the heliacal rising of Sirius started the new yearly cycle. And so 23rd July becomes the start of the new cycle, the heliacal rising of Sirius. So what is the end of a cycle? 22/7 would signify the end of the cycle because it's the pi number. The cycle is the circle, which is 22 divided by 7. So that's why they chose, if 22 divided by 7 ends the cycle, the full circle, then 23/7 is the beginning of the new cycle. And that's why 23rd July became the I say ceremonial or symbolic at least date for the heliacal rising of Sirius. It's based on this 22/7, which ties into the Ozzy Osbourne thing.
Doesn't the 22/7 also coincide with 4/7? Like if you add the 22, you get a 4 and then a 7. And then you go back to, because Crowley was very adamant about everything is inverted. Everything is a mirror image of itself. So when you think of July 4th, that is a mirror image of 47.
Time also equals 47. Now that you mention it, time equals 47.
And the other thing with 47, because Nick and I have gone back and forth with 47, how much happened in 1947. I mean, the list is long, so I won't bore you with that. But
Well,
in
he
free,
died. Yeah, so.
do what?
I think Crowley died too at 47.
Yeah,
Right?
Crowley died in 47. One of the main things with 47 is in Freemasonry, Euclid's 47th proposition, which is also known as the Pythagorean theorem. It's like one of the most fundamental geometric principles with their, I guess, symbolizing the pursuit of knowledge and the perfection of like life and what have you. So I wanted to kind of throw that in there as well. But the other thing is 4-7. 7 minus 4 is 3. So again, you have the 3, number 3. If you look at the DeLorean, DMC is like an inverted 3, like a downward 3. And if you look at the number 8, if you cut the 8 in half, it's a 3. It's a 33 looking at a mirror image of itself. I think the DeLorean guy, he died 8 years old. That's also another 8 in there, just to kind of build upon, again, the amazing presentation you're giving.
The DeLorean guy, also lives in one of Trump's old houses.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So get that shit.
Yeah, so yeah, Trump has a Bedminster golf course in New Jersey. He bought that Bedminster golf course from John DeLorean.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So Trump is in the middle of all of this on so many levels.
Yeah.
Don't ask me, just ask the New York Post. Yeah. So back to 131. Air Jordan was released. So Air Jordan's enjoying its 40th anniversary, and so is Back to the Future enjoying its 40th anniversary. And you see how they're tied in. Michael Jordan, how he's tied into time travel. Michael Jordan, Michael J. Fox. And so I talked about the 131, how it's based on the Gematria of time dilation. And that's the locomotive number. So Gibson Guitar has an ad campaign that's going on right now. Again, and I was already on the Back to the Future thing all year, since Michael Jordan's son in early February, got his car stuck in the tracks. And this is an example of confirmation of what I've noticed. This is a thing for them. It's a thing. So Gibson Guitar decides in 2025, now we know why 2025, to do an ad campaign. And the ad campaign of Gibson Guitar in 2025 is based on Marty McFly's performance at the Under the Sea dance, where his parents met in Back to the Future, where he plays Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good. And then they have the band that's playing in Back to the Future is it's the fictional cousin of Chuck Berry. His name is Marvin Berry, his fictional cousin. And Marvin Berry's hand is injured, so Marty decides he'll take Marvin Berry's place and play Marvin Berry's guitar. This is Chuck Berry's cousin. And then Marty McFly very famously plays Johnny B. Good. So the ad campaign now is that the guitar has gone missing since they filmed Back to the Future. I didn't actually go missing, but this is a Gibson Guitar ad campaign. And I gave the example, it's like a New York Post again, but all media was promoting this, even in websites and on news TV. There are all these, network television at the end of the news, actually lighthearted stories, and they call it Lost to the Future. There's even a website, losttothefuture.com, about the missing Gibson guitar. Well, what it is it's a Gibson Guitar ad campaign. So in the reverse Pythagorean cipher, I put in Gibson Guitar ad campaign, and lo and behold, it sums to 131. Again, that is the number on the locomotive in Back to the Future 3, 131. And our Gibson Guitar ad campaign just happens to sum to that, and it has to do with time dilation and how old. So I just looked up Gibson Guitar Company. How old do you think, by coincidence, Gibson Guitar is in 2025? There's Gibson Guitar Incorporated, founded in 1894, is 131 years old. in
What
2020.
the fuck?
This is how they coordinated. So 131 is it's a number.
Hey, Rambo, if I could just add to that really quick to throw a little sports perspective on this. You and I were talking about this on one of our first weekly shows. If you wouldn't mind, sorry, the one with the Panthers on top of the courthouse.
Yeah.
So in the NHL this season, we had the Edmonton Oilers facing the Florida Panthers, right? And this, once again, is just another sports ritual that falls in line with everything else that Rambo's been touching on. Because Michael J. Fox is from Edmonton. You see what I'm saying? So that's the symbolism right there. I just want to throw that in there. And championship equals 131, right? So just tying that into the 131 you've been touching on.
Yeah, but you predicted one of the Stanley Cup games. You know, talk about your prediction. Like you even predicted the score. You predicted the Panthers would win the game. It was on Michael J. Fox's birthday, and you predicted the 6-1. Tell them about your decode. You predicted
I would have to go back and pull up all of the notes, but it really just had to do with the fact that as soon as I looked into it, it was Michael J. Fox's birthday, and I want to say that the final score actually landed on his birthday, like his 64th birthday. It was something like that. But I can revisit it. But no.
So it was one of the Stanley Cup games. It was Michael J. Fox's birthday is June 9th, which interestingly is one of the Gematria values of Saturn is 69. So his birthday is June 9th. There was a Stanley Cup game. Now he's from Edmonton. The Edmonton Oilers were facing the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup. The Hill Valley Clock is flanked by two Panthers. So this actually predicted that game. And then AJ, I mean, I showed the symbology, but AJ did the decode. So on Michael J. Fox's birthday, there was a Stanley Cup game. It's a best of 7 series. On his birthday, June 9th, 2025, AJ, before the game, predicted that the Panthers would win. It had to do with their records. I think one of them had a... Yeah, so anyway, it was Michael J. Fox's 64th birthday, too, in 2025. Why is that significant? Because 64 is 8 times 8. 8 by 8, 88. That's the escape velocity of the DeLorean, 88. And so his 64th birthday, that's another reason 2025 is so significant, because Michael J. Fox turns 88. And another 88, incidentally, so Biff Tannen has an official birthday. His birthday is March 26th. I believe it's 1937. That's Biff Tannen, not the actor who played Biff Tannen, but Biff Tannen's birthday, the character. His birthday is March 26th, 1937. That means in 2025, Biff Tannen turned 88 years old on March 26th. Another reason why 2025 is so connected to Back to the Future. So time is also 61 in Gematria, and AJ actually mentioned time was 61. Well, the Panthers defeated the Oilers 6-1 on Michael J. Fox's birthday.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
So I'm in Edmonton. I'm from Edmonton.
Okay.
And so I play in bands and stuff or whatever, right? And I recently added a lyric like 2 days ago to a song like we're recording, and it had to do with the night that we booked our recordings was the day the Oilers lost the finals. And the line I added was, my hourglass got flipped upside down. We watched the sands of time fly up from the ground. An hour after the Oilers lost in the finals, there was this crazy sandstorm, like dust storm, sandstorm that ripped through Edmonton. Like the whole city got it. Like,
wow.
And I was making jokes, like, because I like walked in, I said I like walked through this sandworm. And then everyone like referenced different movies where like sandworms were a thing, like Beetlejuice, Dune, like all these things, which was like a funny part. But I was tripping because I wrote that lyric. But this is like, that's just trippy that like there was some symbolic sandstorm hourglass thing. And I saw it. That's how I saw it, not knowing what I saw. And then I've incorporated that into my lyrics. And you guys just like validated that. That's trippy.
Yeah, this is one of the mysteries of these synchronicities. This is a mysterious place we live in.
Rambo, I have one more thing to add. I promise it'll be the last time I interrupt you. You
No,
keep
that's
saying
fine, that's
131, and it was jogging that I had to look up to make sure. So there is a specific amino acid site on the Parkin protein that when you add a phosphate group to that area and the enzyme doesn't do its thing that it does, it will negatively impact that protein, leading to Parkinson's disease. That specific amino acid site is referred to as Parkin serine 131. Just thought I'd add that.
Lisa!
What is it? It was Parkin's what? Could you?
Parkin serine 131.
Serene?
Serine. Parkin, Parkin. And it's
That is amazing. Yeah.
amino acid site that when it's phosphorylated, it leads to Parkinson's disease.
I was gonna say, ain't it a shame they predicted all this stuff in Back to
Yeah.
the Future, but they couldn't have slipped some shit in like, Michael, drink more orange juice. You're gonna get fucked up in the future.
Yeah.
On some fucking Parkinson
Yeah.
shit.
It's I don't know if it protects us or if it leads to it, but it's definitely in the study for Parkinson's disease. But it is 131 for sure. And there is a correlation with the Parkinson's research on that.
No,
That-
And
thanks.
you know, they had picked another guy to play Marty.
Yeah, they did. They did.
They replaced him later.
Mm-hmm.
They had picked Eric Schultz and they were like, we're not really feeling it. It needs to be Michael J. Fox. They did film a little bit with the other guy too before they decided to replace him. So it's like it had to be him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, exactly. I thought that's really cool.
No, thanks. That's an amazing synchronicity.
Yeah, that just bugged out.
Yeah, and thank you, Rambo, for reminding me about that pick. I mean, I guess to plug myself really quick, once again, I do have a Patreon channel, patreon.com/on-the-money-ball, just with 2 L's in ball. But this is what Rambo was talking about. So back on June 9th, right, what I shared with my subscribers is I said, take the Panthers or live bet them if they're down. That's what you'll get better value. And what all I pointed out was with a win versus Edmonton, Michael J. Fox's hometown, on his 64th birthday, the Panthers would improve to 6-4 versus the Oilers in the playoffs all time, while the Oilers would drop to 6-4 on the road during this year's playoffs. So it was like a quadruple 64 alignment on Michael J. Fox's 64th birthday, who's from Edmonton. And I said, don't forget that 2 Panthers stood next to the clock tower in Back to the Future, and the Panthers can pick up their second win of the series. Right. And then I just add some kind of visuals to showcase what I was talking about. So.
Yeah. And also, so the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup 2025, but they also won it in 2024. So the Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. And what do you see
2
on
Panthers.
the clock tower? Back-to-back Panthers.
Yeah, there you go.
It's back-to-back Panthers. So they coded that, and they beat the Edmonton Oilers, which is the hometown of Michael J. Fox. So it's coded here. They are back-to-back Panthers. I have one last. I'm going to end it with one last sports prediction, which Back to the Future had, and it may have implications for an upcoming sports event. So I noticed this. Very few people notice this. Looking at the opening credits. I mean, as soon as the movie starts, the first one, as the credits are still popping up on the screen, the camera pans across a whole variety of clocks in Doc Brown's house. He has tons of clocks, and it's panning over the clocks. Now, sports has nothing to do with the first Back to the Future. There's nothing to do with sports at all in it. And I did notice that one of the clocks, as they pan through, just one was a Denver Broncos clock, which was this one here. It had a Denver Broncos helmet. And I was thinking, that's sports related. Why the Denver Broncos? It takes place in Hill Valley, which is it's a fictional suburb of Los Angeles. I guess the Los Angeles team at the time would have been the Raiders. That would be understood. Why? In fact, the Denver Broncos themselves did contact, I think, Bob Gale, and asked him, "Were you secretly telling us that Doc Brown is a Denver Broncos fan?" The Denver Broncos themselves. But I'd noticed this myself. Like, wow, and of course, you know how they are. They don't really give an answer. They don't tell you what it means. But I did take that into account. So they did have this. Now, in Back to the Future 3, the train is going to San Francisco. In fact, there's a scene where Clara is the lady, Clara Clayton's her name. She's Doc Brown's love interest. She goes to buy a ticket on the train. Again, this is locomotive 131, which he hijacks. But the train is going to San Francisco, and she says, "Where's the train going?" And the ticket booth operator says it's going to San Francisco is the final destination, he says. So she says, "Give me a one-way ticket." So she's taking a one-way ticket to San Francisco, and her name is Clara, which is very significant because the San Francisco 49ers of the NFL, National Football League, they play in a suburb of San Francisco known as Santa Clara, California.
Unbelievable, Rambo.
Right, and that's his love. Right, and that's his love interest. I wish I could get a clip of that just to hear it yourself. But he says San Francisco, final destination. He says, "Give me a one-way ticket." This is Clara. What's in Clara? Santa Clara is where the Super Bowl was held. So I'm looking back, and this was produced in 1985. So they had the Denver Broncos clock. A Super Bowl was held in Santa Clara in 2015. So in 2015, again, year ending in 5. Remember, Back to the Future actually goes to 2015. In Back to the Future 2, they go to 2015. Well, in 2015, the Super Bowl was held in Santa Clara, which is a suburb of San Francisco. And so this tells you why the Bronco clock was slipped in there, because it's a Super Bowl 50. Who was in Super Bowl 50 in 2015 in Santa Clara? The Denver Broncos were.
And the Panthers, right? Wasn't that against the Panthers?
Oh yeah, you stole my thunder. I was going to get that.
I'm sorry, Ram. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
AJ's the guy who goes to a movie theater. He's seen the movie before, and he yells out, "Okay, watch it. What's going to happen?"
That's funny.
No,
I'm sorry, brother.
No, that's no problem. But so that was Doc Brown's love interest, Santa Clara, who took a one-way ticket to San Francisco, which held the Super Bowl 50 in Santa Clara. Now you know why the Denver Broncos logo was there, because who did they face? AJ will tell you. It was the Carolina Panthers. And where's the Panther symbolism? It is in the clock tower. You have the Panthers, but there's a kicker that AJ did not reveal. He didn't spoil everything. Who was the MVP? So when Marty McFly first arrives in 1955 on November 5th, as soon as he arrives at downtown Hill Valley, in the background, you see a Miller beer truck. So it even says Miller High Life, the Miller beer motto, Miller High Life. It's undeniable, a Miller beer. They even have the logo with the curled M, which looks like the Virgo glyph, if you're familiar with astrology. Virgo, the earth sign, grain. So this Miller truck, it's really stood out, this product placement. I thought, man, this is significant. Why is the Miller beer? I did a whole video on that's another, a whole entire decode just on the significance of Miller. And I just to give a clear idea of what the Miller logo looks like, which most people do recognize, Miller Beer of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That was what greeted Marty McFly as soon as he arrives in downtown in 1955. Who was the MVP of Super Bowl? It's kind of small to see it. The MVP of Super Bowl 50 between the Broncos and the Panthers. The MVP was Von Miller, and of the Denver Broncos. This is a linebacker. So they coded that into. They don't not only coded the Panthers and the Broncos, and Santa Clara is held in Santa Clara, California. They also coded in who would be the MVP of that Super Bowl with Von Miller. With this, and this goes even further. Von Miller's birthday is March 26th, and you remember I mentioned March 26th earlier. That's Biff Tannen's birthday. And that was the Super Bowl MVP was born on Biff Tannen's birthday. So yeah, I'll end it there. Yeah,
Rambo, can I add one little thing? I'm not going to spoil anything.
No, I'm done. I'm actually done with my presentation. You can take.
No, I was going to say this is perfect timing with all of this because this is my second blessing to be, you know, on the Occult Rejects. I'm forever grateful. But the first time that we were here, it was, I want to say, a day or two after one of our latest live streams, and I blew Julia's mind about John Denver because I was talking about Kobe Bryant, and then Julia goes on about how John Denver was her Kobe, and when he died, and then that was right at the time when you had shared with me about that fan in MLB baseball falling from the stands and falling into the running track of the baseball field right in front of John Denver's Country Roads Take Me Home. And that I don't remember the date on that. I would have to go back and check, but
it was April 30th. It was April 30th.
That's right, on the founding date of the Church of Satan.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have anything else you can add about that particular story and how, and with everything we've been talking about, there's definitely got to be more there.
Yeah. So the fan fell from the stands at called PNC Park in Pittsburgh. So the Pittsburgh Pirates home stadium. A fan fell. It's a pretty long fall, 21 feet. So the fan fell onto the playing surface. Yeah, and in the background you had, it was an ad. So states will have ads to encourage tourism. That ad was actually for the state of Virginia, to encourage tourism to the state of Virginia, and it had "Take Me Home, Country Roads." Now, the reason I mentioned why John Denver was significant is because on that date, April 30th, 2025, the close friend of John Elway. Now, John Elway was the Hall of Fame quarterback for the Denver Broncos. In fact, that's the only team he played for, was the Denver Broncos. So his name is John Elway, a hero of the Denver Broncos. He is John Denver in a way. He literally is John Denver. So John Elway, a week before, had been driving a golf cart in California, and his friend fell off the back of the golf cart, and they say he died from his fall. Now, the date that I think he died 4 days after the fall. The date that his friend died, this is John Elway, this is literally John Denver. The date that his friend died from the fall from the golf cart, which had no witnesses, the police didn't even show up, amazingly. The date his friend died was April 30th. So that fan fell from the stands onto the field in front of the Country Roads Take Me Home ad on the same day, April 30th, that John Denver, John Elway's friend, died, falling off the cart that he was driving. So two things happened on that day. The fan fell, and his name was Jeff Spurbeck. He was a close friend of John Elway, a hero for the Denver Broncos. They both died on April 30th. And the symbolism there, too, is some people refer to Satan or Lucifer as a fallen angel. And I've done a whole bunch of decodes on, there's a lot of fallen angel rituals, which ties into Ozzy Osbourne. It's Lucifer. They also say the Satanists, they really revere the literary work Paradise Lost by Milton. They really revere that, Paradise Lost. So Paradise Lost is one of the works where they equate Lucifer with Satan, because that only comes from Dante's Inferno and Milton, Paradise Lost, where Satan is Lucifer. The term Lucifer really means light bringer, light bearer. It could refer to the sun, it could refer to Venus, but it's actually Dante and Milton who make the equation of Lucifer with Satan. And that comes from the Bible. If you look at the original Bible verse, with art thou fallen from heaven, Lucifer, son of the morning? Well, it wasn't written in English, and it wasn't written in Latin. The originally written in Hebrew and Aramaic. It said it did not refer to Satan. It said King of Babylon. The equation of Lucifer came in Latin, and then Dante and Milton said, "Oh, Lucifer is Satan." So there's some controversy as to what Lucifer really is, but still, Lucifer is equated with a fallen angel, and you can see how Satanists, like I don't know, Ozzy is a Satanist, I guess you could say. They really revere the work of Milton, Paradise Lost. The fan falling to the ground off of the stands on April 30th, the foundation of the Church of Satan, was a fallen angel ritual. And they've done a lot of those. If you hear a lot of falling stories, and it was John Elway's friend who fell off the back of the golf cart. And he died on April 30th. the same day that the fan fell from the stands. That was a fallen angel ritual on the anniversary of the establishment of the Church of Satan.
May I point something out and then ask a question? I find it interesting the panther symbolism, the twin panthers protecting time. But I find it similar in design to the ancient lion gate and lion gates. Actually, there must have been more.
Which happens
Well,
on August 8th is like the spiritual
Right.
woo woo. That's like, oh, it's Lionsgate 8/8.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is also similar to the divine feminine symbolism. Ashura and various iterations of her would be associated with lions, or potentially big felines. So this just an interesting kind of theme. I wonder. Maybe this is a silly question, so forgive me, but I wonder if there are numbers that you guys find have an innate negative quality, or if all numbers have both potentials in them, or is there some that just really have a good aspect or a negative aspect, if you will, but or is it both? Thanks for entertaining that.
I would say in general, and it's the same with symbols, there's a positive side and a negative side. The number, I guess, would be the most positive that I could think of, might be the number 1. That's I think that's you think of the Matrix, Neo is the 1, and 1 is, so it's it symbolizes balance and wholeness, and 1. I don't know. I can't really think of. I guess it could be negative if you think of it in terms of ego. I don't know, but I would say number 1 to me has mostly positive connotation. But in general, I'd say, as with other symbols, there's a positive and a negative side to both.
What
Yeah.
What I would say in what I've found, and this is a personal take, is that I do find that there are sections of numbers that get like a little bit weirder. Like it's a weird thing. Like I would say that like anything in the 130s, so from something that equals 130 to 139 has a very like weird, with that 13 at the front of it, has a very like, the words that all equal that seem to kind of like gel together and have like maybe a little more static. And then I would say like the 150s, where it's like the 15 is the 6, more harmonious, like that a lot of the 150s are really good. But that's still, it comes down to like per word and per whatever. But yeah, you can get a positive or a negative from it at the end of the day, for sure.
That's also
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna ask if somebody could throw in like a couple of references from like Back to the Future 3. I know you talked about it's significant that his dog's name was Einstein, but in the third one, his dog's name is Copernicus. And I wonder what Copernicus could add up to, or if that might be significant in some way.
It's Capricornus. The Copernicus switched from the flat Earth to the round Earth.
Right.
And whatever,
yeah.
right? But it's Capricornus, right? Which Saturn rules Capricorn, back to Saturn, back to time.
Okay, right, right. Because it's like the dog in Back to the Future 1, the only dog we meet is Einstein, but by the third one, Doc has like his dog from the past. His name is Copernicus, and when you were going over the Einstein stuff, I was like, I wonder if he brings that up, because I always thought that was a weird name to have your dog Copernicus. Like, it's a fucking ugly name, you know?
Yeah, that's a great addition, but it also goes along the lines of Back to the Future 3, the locomotive's final stop being San Francisco, because in San Francisco, which is related to football, so the next Super Bowl is going to be held in San Francisco, Super Bowl 60, which is on February. So the next Super Bowl is the season's going to start in September this year. Super Bowl will be on February 8th, 2026. In San Francisco, in Santa Clara. So Back to the Future very well could hold the clues to the next, because clearly they not only told you who will be in the Super Bowl in Back to the Future in Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco, they told you who the MVP. They even told you who would be the MVP, Miller. So Super Bowl's back in San Francisco, back in Santa Clara. The actress who plays Clara, her birthday is February 8th, the day of the Super Bowl in 2026.
Oh, stop it.
Absolutely, yeah. Her birthday is the day of the Super Bowl. It's in Santa Clara. So you think there are more clues?
I mean, come on, you guys, seriously. Wow.
So
what about Jules Verne? Because that was really big in the third one too. Do you think that's significant at all? Because he references Jules Verne, I want to say maybe like 6 or 7 times in the third movie. Do you think that could mean anything, be significant in any way? I mean, I love Jules Verne because like Journey to the Center of the Earth and all that shit. I talk about that all the time, but he does mention it like several times in the third movie.
Yeah, that is something to look into. When I think of Jules Verne, I think of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Right, that's another one. Mm-hmm.
And think of the dance in Back to the Future 1, where Marty McFly played the Gibson guitar.
Enchantment Under the Sea.
Under the sea, yeah. So you see, there's that Jules Verne hidden reference there. Under the sea. And that could be a Neptune reference of different. So also the thing with Copernicus, so the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers had a quarterback. So even if you weren't into sports, you heard about him. He transcended sports because he started doing the kneeling during the national anthem. The name was Colin Kaepernick. And he was the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. So Kaepernick could be a play on Copernicus. Yeah, given
it's there.
That is a good one for sure.
That's a great one. It's always just right under your nose, eh? Like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Under the Sea, Jules Verne. I think that's Kaepernick. So San Francisco is big. I mean, Golden Gate Bridge. That's another thing too. I mean, if you look at okay, I'll bring up the just real quick. You have to see this image. The image of the logo for Super Bowl 60. Okay, Super Bowl. So it's a Super Bowl 60, again, February 8th. Levi Stadium, Santa Clara. If I look at a close-up of the logo, what do you see? Twin Pines. Remember Marty
my
God!
Yeah. Yeah. So the Twin Pines, and that is where they take off from in Back to the Future. So,
can I say something else too? Just by the way, I mentioned this to Nick before one time because I said, you know how like Netflix and HBO and shit and Hulu, they decide what the movies are going to be available the month before the movies are, like every month they put new movies out that you can watch on Hulu and Netflix and whatever. And the month that the Pope died, they put a bunch of like dead popes and weird Pope movies on Hulu before we even knew that he was going to die. Right.
Yeah.
So this month, if you are, if you have Hulu, they added Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 for this month. And now we're sitting here having this conversation. And I've just watched Back to the Future 3 like a couple days ago. And I was like, oh, damn, I love this one. It's my favorite one. And I think it's just interesting, like timing and shit. Like we're having this discussion right now. And if you go to Hulu right now, you can watch all 3 of them. They just added them on to Hulu. The whole trilogy, I guess you call it, but yeah, just weird synchronicities.
So this is why it's good to have multiple people looking at these clues, because one person can't notice all these clues.
Right.
So who knows how many clues we're missing, that they're putting out there. But so this is just showing you the actress who plays Clara Clayton in Back to the Future. That's her birthday, February 8th. Various team. That's the date of the next Super Bowl. And in Back to the Future 3, she says, she's buying a one-way ticket to San Francisco, and the Super Bowl's in Santa Clara.
And Nick, there's your 82 again. The way February 8th is written is 8/2 in the majority of the world. The 8th of February, right?
Yeah.
And then it's also in 2026, so it's like 2, and then the 26, which is 8. Like it's like a 2828 or an 8282 going on.
Well, and I just thought of this. You guys think about how her first name is Mary, kind of like Virgin Mary, right? Virginia, Maryland. This kind of goes back to the divine feminine that Ethan and Rambo were talking about.
I don't have time to break it down, but S and F are letters of Virgo. I don't have time to break that all down, but I take the alphabet and break it down over the astrological and everything. And SF and San Francisco and all that is Virgo, like Hondo.
Yeah, there was a lot of Virgo symbolism in the movie.
Yeah.
Remember I showed you the Miller beer?
Yeah.
Their logo, their M actually looks like, I think it's done deliberately, the Virgo glyph. We got the little curved little tail on the M. And Virgo's an earth sign. And so beer has to do with grain.
The Super Bowl starts in Virgo season, or the NFL starts in Virgo season every year too.
Yeah. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury also rules the realm of travel and transportation, which also rules Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So Marty, they had to pick a Gemini or a Virgo to play Marty McFly. In fact, Marty McFly has an official birthday separate from Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox's birthday is Gemini. It's June 9th. And Marty McFly's birthday is June 12th. So he had to be a Gemini as well. That has to do with Mercury, which rules, again, that's travel and transportation. And again, the magic square of Mercury is 8x8.
Yeah, I was going to bring that. Yeah, I was going to bring up the Kabbalistic sphere.
Yeah, and also the
8. Yeah,
and the orbital cycle of the planet Mercury is 88 days in Earth time. So there's all Mercury symbolism as the god of travel and transportation. Yeah. I've shown many examples of how they encode Mercury as that aspect of Mercury in a lot of things, like Goodyear tire has the heel of Mercury with the wing. In New York City, you have Grand Central Terminal. On the southern facade, there's a statue of Mercury, the Roman god Mercury, because it's Grand Central Terminal. It's a travel hub. So yeah, there are many examples. So yeah, as far as Mercury ruling Virgo, since you brought up Virgo, yeah, Mercury is related. It's very much related to Back to the Future and travel, and the 88 too. And Trump is a Gemini.
Oh yeah, there's one thing that struck my mind during the whole presentation and everything, and it's funny what cued it in, which was the way Klaus Schwab said Putin. He said poutine, which is a Canadian dish where you take French fries and you put cheese on it, then you put gravy over top. Then that got me thinking about the mud floods, and we don't have to go there or anything, but the fact that it's like this, and we're like on the cusp of a reset or what's happening, some sort of time thing, some sort of shift. The fact that Tartaria equals 88, I couldn't stop thinking about that the whole time you're doing that presentation. That like Tartaria would be about the whole kind of similar kind of thing. There's probably back in the day they were probably doing the same thing. Like, what does this 88 mean? And then boom, right?
That dish also sounds like you would have quite a mud flood in the bathroom.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a southern thing too. I didn't know. What did you say
French.
it was?
It's
French,
poutine.
really?
It's
because
poutine.
we used to do that. I've lived in the South my entire life, and we used to call it okie poutine, and it was French fries with like white gravy and like chicken nuggets and shit, and just cheddar cheese. Just stack that shit up and just eat it with a fork. That shit is delicious.
The traditional way is like cheese curds, which are like just like little matzo ball kind of things, and then you pour the gravy on it. Yeah. I
mean, you will shit your
fucking hungry now.
Pants off if you're not used to it, but
no, it's
delicious.
Great. Those Canadian winters, you need the poutine for sure.
I think it pronounces it putain. I think that's how they pronounce it.
Poutine.
Yeah, putain. I think that's how it's
Rambo.
So another 88. You said it's Lionsgate, which I think August 8th this year is a date to look out for. What do they have in store for? I mean, with all this Back to the Future stuff, 88. So the neighborhood that Marty lives in is called Lyons Estate, and it has the entranceway to the neighborhood of the road. He goes by there in his skateboard. Has a statue of two lions on either side. It's called Lyons Estate. That's a reference to the 88 Lionsgate as well. Yeah. So I'll look out for August 8th this year for something.
Rambo, the 8 makes another appearance. We'll keep referencing the floods of Texas. So wherever the X made, or where the eclipse made an X is like around Kerrville area.
Yep.
October, which is 8, and then you have April 8th. That was the other day of the other eclipse that crossed over. Yeah. And then Guadalupe, it is a valley of the mouth of the river of a wolf in Spain, and that's where Guadalupe originally got her name. It is a conglomeration or a synthesis of a name that is both Arabic, Spanish, or Latin. I'm sorry, Arabic and Latin, due to the Moorish influence in southern Spain.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I have been doing extensive decodes on the floods, and it's interesting how you'll just get synchronicity between seemingly unrelated topics. I did talk about the wolf. So the wolf, one of the main where you see the wolf prominently is the symbol of Rome, the she-wolf that nursed Romulus and Remus. And Romulus founded Rome. And it was feminine. Like even the dog with the star Sirius, it's a female. And also the goddess for Sirius is Sopdet. So it's a female, and the wolf, it's a she-wolf that nursed, the founder of Rome. So yeah, there's a lot of that sacred feminine symbolism. Yeah.
It's also a really good Shakira song.
Yeah, the wolf.
That was in my decode as well, and that ties into Gematria.
Oh, is it really?
Absolutely, yeah. I did a decode on Shakira as well. So
that's cool.
I
was in Kerrville a few days prior to the flood. I stayed there for a few days, and then I was in Hunt, Texas as well, because we were doing surveys up at the wildlife management area. So I was in that area, and it's heavily German influenced. That Central Texas area, it's all limestone, and so they've lost a lot of their native grasses, and so the floods are a lot more pronounced, and even more so now. But yeah, it was, and then the cloud seeding that was happening 2 days prior.
I can definitely attest to that for sure. I mean, being in Austin, I was here for the eclipse. And obviously, I had gone through the floods during Independence Day. But I'll just say, Rambo and I were talking about this once again from a sports perspective. When the eclipse happened and everything, we were looking into college basketball March Madness. And what we had noticed was that there were a handful of teams that had a good chance of making it to the Final Four that all had direct alignments with the moon, right? And how the moon controls the tides. And you were just mentioning the wolf reference. Well, who ended up winning that year? It was the Yukon Huskies. And there was a big thing about howling at the moon, right? So just that kind of whole reference there as well. And I just thought it was interesting, too, that Mary Steenburgen, if you look right before Back to the Future Part 3, she was in a movie called Cross Creek. That's interesting because essentially all the creeks and rivers of Texas had flooded recently. But she was also in a movie called A Walk in the Woods. I feel like it kind of has that reference there as well.
And she was born, it's a stretch, but not. She was born in 1953, and just the significance of Edmonton and Michael J. Fox and all that. Edmonton is on the 53rd parallel, which I've covered 53 a bunch on past Occult Rejects episodes for sure. Yeah, because the COVID equals 53.
Oh.
So covered it lots.
Yeah, I've come across 53 in a different context, but yeah, it's a major number.
Yeah.
Isn't there some kind of big supermoon that's supposed to happen in August?
Well, there's a name for I don't know. Yeah, there's a name for a full moon in each month. There's August, but I guess if this one coincides with the moon being real close to Earth, that's something to look out for. Absolutely. A full moon.
I couldn't remember what day it was. It would be weird if it happened around the 8th, though.
Yeah, if it
I-
coincides with 8/8, wow, that'll be something.
I think it's later in August.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing the astrology in my head. I'm not
is it
checking
later
that
in
referencely. Yeah, well, like the eclipse would be later in August. But I'm just doing that based on my knowledge and the math that's in my head, saying that according to studying astrology for as long as I have, that it would probably be end of August, but I'm not.
Everybody's gonna get fucked up. It's August and a supermoon. Everybody's periods are gonna start. Everybody's gonna go into labor.
Okay, one more thing, Rambo, forgot. So the main epicenter or the main destruction, yes, Kerrville got a lot of exposure, but the main site was Hunt, Texas. And I was going to say H, which is 8, the 8th letter. So I wanted to throw that in there. I forgot that was the other thing I was going to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Again, yeah, 8 is it's related to infinity, so it's time related. Plus, there's a lot more symbolism so one of the prominent symbolism in Back to the Future is it's based on the Hanged Man of the tarot. The Hanged Man is upside down, and I think TJ, you're talking about 130. Upside down is 130, and that's a reference to the Hanged Man of the tarot. If you're familiar, the Hanged Man is hanging by an ankle upside down. Which actually looks rough, but it's actually a positive card. It's a higher knowledge. It's basically you're a heretic. You're seen by the world as a heretic, but the one who sees the truth is the one who looks at it from a different angle. He has the glow of enlightenment, but he's hanging upside down. But that's also related to time. In the French tarot, the Marseille, the hangman is called le pendu. Pendu means hanged in French, but it's Pendu, which is pendu, like pendulum. So the hangman can represent time as well, the pendulum of a clock. And in Back to the Future, especially 3, you see a lot of hanged man symbolism because of, again, it's the hangman, it's the pendulum. It's even think of the Golden Gate Bridge, it's a suspension bridge. That's what the hangman is, suspended. And so Clara actually on the locomotive, her dress gets caught and she slips and she hangs upside down on the side of the locomotive.
I was gonna say that.
Oh yeah. So that's a major they're symbolizing the hanged man. Another scene where they symbolize the hanged man is there's a scene where they have an old clock tower in Back to the Future 3 where Marty McFly, it's Mad Dog Buford, tries to hang him. Now, this ain't the official story of the movie, is that they didn't use it wasn't a stunt or any special effects. They literally asphyxiated Michael J. Fox, and they say he almost died in that scene. They took it way too far, if that's true. But that's another hanged man scene. Another hanged man symbolism is in Back to the Future 2, where Marty's father, George, has a hoverboard, but he rides the hoverboard upside down.
Upside down. Oh, shit.
Upside down. I got a little lag there. But yeah, he likes to float upside down with a hoverboard in Back to the Future 2. So that's a big part of the symbolism there in Back to the Future, because the hangman is related to time, the pendulum of the clock. And there could be clues to the next Super Bowl, Super Bowl 60. And the way I see it is it could indicate the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the reason I say Baltimore Ravens could be indicated, number one, she's wearing purple. The Baltimore, I don't know how many of you are familiar with football, but
I'm very familiar with the Baltimore Ravens just because my ex-husband loved them, but their claim to fame is the master of death himself, isn't it? Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven. Now, the Raven is a symbol of the Norse god Odin. Odin had 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin. Odin is the hangman because Odin is said
I was going to say that earlier, so I'm glad it came back around.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in Norse mythology, Odin self-sacrificed. He gouged out an eye for higher knowledge, no sacrifice for a higher consciousness. He wasn't even satisfied with that. He hung upside down on the tree of Yggdrasil in order to obtain the secret of the runes. And he hung upside down. So some tarot decks actually depict Odin for the hangman. And Odin is directly related to the raven because the ravens are the bird of Odin. So when you see,
are you saying you think the Ravens are gonna take it to the Super Bowl?
I see a lot of Raven symbolism. I'm not advising you to bet. If you lose your money, you get mad at me. I'm
No,
just saying,
I won't get mad at you, but I'm trying to get $1. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, so this is the symbolism I see. So you kind of have to go a little deeper, understanding the Hanged Man and how the Hanged Man represents Odin. Odin is the Hanged Man. His birds are the ravens, and the Baltimore Ravens wear purple. That train is going to San Francisco. Clara is taken to San Francisco. The Super Bowl will be held in Santa Clara. The woman who plays Clara, her birthday is on the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is on her birthday. And she's wearing purple while doing the Hangman. The Raven is the, again, purple is the Baltimore Ravens. The Raven is the god of Odin, the Hanged Man. Now, another thing is, I talked about Biff Tannen's birthday. Biff Tannen was born March 26th. He'll be 88 years old, Biff Tannen, at the time of the Super Bowl, which is the big Back to the Future number. Who else was born? So this is also the birthday of Von Miller, who was the MVP of the last time the Super Bowl was held in Santa Clara, which they quoted that into Back to the Future, Miller. So who else was born on that date, March 26th? This is a big date, March 26th. I have a whole decode coming up on that date, March 26th. Nancy Pelosi was born on March 26th.
Fuck that.
Yeah, she's a San Francisco politician, but she was born in Baltimore.
Well, then they're gonna lose, because anybody that's got no shit to do with her is they're going downtown.
But I remember March 26th, that's Biff Tannen's birthday. It's Nancy Pelosi's birthday. She connects Baltimore to San Francisco. She was born in Baltimore. What happened, was it 2 years ago or last year? I lose track. On March 26th, the bridge collapsed in Baltimore on March 26th.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if the Ravens make it to the Super Bowl, they're going to probably fucking lose because of Nancy Pelosi. And you heard it here first on the Occult Rejects on Wednesday, July 23rd at approximately 8:19 Pacific time. If they make it, they might lose.
So remember, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore collapsed on March 26th. It was Biff Tannen's birthday. It was Nancy Pelosi's birthday. The bridge collapsed.
I blame Nancy. That's what I'm saying.
So in Back to the Future, before Doc hatched the plan with Marty, we're going to hijack the locomotive and we're going to push it on this bridge and it'll push us to 88. Now, what Marty pointed out, he looked at the map. He said, wait a minute, there's no bridge. The bridge is actually out. It reaches the beginning of the ravine and then it stops. And he says there's no bridge up to the edge of the ravine. So that Marty actually pointed out there's no bridge. That's a reference to the Baltimore Bridge collapse on, by coincidence, Biff Tannen's birthday. They talk about a bridge collapse or no bridge. In fact, the last ride of the DeLorean is just as they reach the edge of the bridge. You know how Hollywood is, they make it dramatic. Right until they reach the edge of the bridge, there's no bridge. That's when he hits 88. Then he ends up in 1985. There is a bridge in 85, but it looks just like the Golden Gate Bridge. To me, that's a lot of Baltimore coding, with a bridge being out in Baltimore on 3/26, Biff Tannen's birthday, Nancy Pelosi's birthday. She's born in Baltimore, San Francisco politician. That the Hanged Man, she's wearing purple. There's a lot of Baltimore coding there, especially with the bridge.
So you're saying, so just to be clear, are you saying this is good luck or bad luck for the Ravens?
I'm saying it'll get them there. Maybe.
But you're not sure if it's gonna be
But Julia,
a good thing.
Julia, in sports betting, like right now, if you found a platform that's eligible where you live, you could look into NFL futures as far as just even teams that will get there. And most of those teams, even the favorites, all have value. So you can just keep that in mind. You can look at it as a potential future investment, to where if you put $10 down on the Ravens to win 60, then at least if they get there, you can still win. So
it's all very interesting. I mean, this whole presentation's got me fucked up. Because we just covered Back to the Future, but not like this. This is a whole nother level.
The other thing I was just going to add as we're kind of closing up here is that we were talking about Michael Jordan, right? And then I mentioned how today is the anniversary of Michael Jordan's death anniversary. We opened the whole show talking about Ozzy Osbourne's death, how it's connected to 666. Well, Michael Jordan's dad passed away shortly before he won his third championship in 1993, and he scored exactly 666 points in the entire playoffs. And he stands at 6'6", and he went 6-6 in NBA Finals, etc. But really, to tie it up, is that Rambo we haven't even touched on, and we don't need to go into it. Just the point is go look up Michael Jordan's birthday this year, February 17th, and you will see that there was a plane crash on the runway, on runway 23, where the plane flipped upside down, where the passengers were hanging upside down for another hangman ritual. So I just want to throw that in there as well, because Rambo was all over that the moment that broke.
That's wild.
So I also want to add another thing real quick. So that's what I haven't put here. It isn't enough. The Parkin 131 protein and Parkinson's, how Michael J. Fox had Parkinson's. There are two other famous people who had Parkinson's. Number one is Ozzy Osbourne had Parkinson's. He ties in. And you see how Parkinson's ties in with the 131, Michael J. Fox. Another famous person, if you know about baseball, if you're a baseball fan, especially an older baseball fan, is Kirk Gibson. Kirk Gibson is legendary. He played for the LA Dodgers, and in the year 1988, he hit one of the most historic home runs in the history of baseball. And his name is Kirk Gibson. That's the name of the guitar. Gibson Guitar is now doing the promotion of the Gibson guitar that was played in Back to the Future 1.
Hey.
Now, Kirk Gibson, again, he was a big hero in 88 for the Dodgers. Kirk Gibson won the World Series with two teams, the LA Dodgers in 88, but he also won it with the Detroit Tigers. Now, he has Parkinson's too, so he ties into it. In fact, if you look at, I look on ESPN, they're talking about Kirk Gibson. They'll almost very, very often will mention Michael J. Fox in conjunction with Kirk Gibson because they both have Parkinson's. Well, this year started in Major League Baseball. The LA Dodgers, who were the reigning champions, their home opener was against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And they're in different leagues. One's a National League, American League, but the LA Dodgers reigning champions, their home opener of the 2025 season was against the Detroit Tigers. And guess who threw out the ceremonial first pitch? They brought out Kirk Gibson. And this ties in with the Gibson guitar. And again, so if the odds are kind of they aren't that great because they're favorites. The Detroit Tigers and LA Dodgers are two of the best Major League Baseball teams to tie in, but it ties into the whole Gibson theme. And they've already done a theme around Gibson in 88 in Major League Baseball. So just to mention that on the Gibson note. And
what
the
a crash fest this has been. Jesus
and then
Christ.
Both of them having Parkinson's, like Ozzy too, because his name is John Michael. So that Michael J is just pumping it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once again, like you said earlier, TJ, like right under your nose.
Yeah.
It is right there. If you just look at the wordplay,
Now, there is a related movie to this. I'm not going to go into it. It's too late now to get into it. But a companion movie to this, which has a lot of potential clues, is Donnie Darko, which is a time travel movie. Now, who were you just talking about?
Say that and then be like,
we
but
just
I'm
talking
not
about
going
who's
to get into it. Oh my God.
Donald.
Holy crap.
You'll have to come back on to do a Donnie Darko episode.
Yeah, so Donnie as in
to
Donald.
come back on for a part 2 of that.
Yeah.
I freaking just watched Donnie Darko for the first time. My husband made me watch it like a couple weeks ago or months ago. And I was like, this movie smashes. I love this movie so much.
And it was set in the year 88.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it's a companion movie to Back to the Future because he actually mentions Back to the Future in the movie. It's about time travel. So it starts on a certain date. It goes on it starts on October 2nd. It starts. It continues for 28 days, and ends on October 2nd, 1988. So it time loops. That's related to this. That's very much related to this.
That's wild.
Donnie Darko, Donald Trump, Donnie.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Was there anything anybody else wanted to mention or anything? Bring up?
All I'm going to say, I guess, for kind of my closing piece, Nick, thank you first and foremost for allowing us the opportunity to hang out with you guys. And I really appreciate all the comments in the chat. Everyone's been awesome, adding to everything we've been talking about. And it's just, I was really excited to come back, and I really appreciate it, Nick. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rambo. I really appreciate, you making time for yourself to jump on as well. And as always, I got to thank TJ, because I never would have gotten connected with the Occult Rejects if it wasn't for TJ. So it means a lot. It's an absolute blessing to see Julia again, as well as Ethan and Elle. It was very, very nice to meet you as well. I think this was a really fun collaboration. And I'll leave you guys with this. On my Patreon page, patreon.com/onthemoneyball, 2 L's. I also took the Chicago White Sox, who were big underdogs on the road today. They suck. I took them to beat the Tampa Bay Rays in Florida today, because think about this, you guys. Like we said, today is the anniversary of the death of Michael Jordan's father. His full name is Raymond James Jordan. And Tampa Bay, even though we're talking about baseball, is home of James Raymond Stadium. Okay. And lastly, I'll just say Michael Jordan, right? He took 2-3 years off to play baseball. Who did he play for? He played for, well, a handful of teams, but maybe not a handful, but he played for the Chicago White Sox. So for me, it was that simple. I was like, the White Sox could win on Michael Jordan's father's death anniversary and do so in Tampa Bay, which is home of James Raymond Stadium. And that directly aligns with MJ's father's full name. So make sure to check it out, you guys. Once again, thank you, Nick. Thank you, everybody. I had a freaking blast with all of you guys. You're the best.
Oh yeah, no, this was fun. We definitely have to do it again. Thank you again, AJ and Rambo. Real quick, AJ, I know you kind of plugged some stuff, but you want to plug where everybody can find you again?
Yeah, all I will say is I really appreciate the love and the support. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. You can follow me once again at BalllDontLie with 3 L's in ball, and that's both on YouTube and on Instagram. And I have the links for the other paid subscription stuff for the sports betting and whatnot. But Rambo and I do a weekly show every week on my channel on Tuesday nights, which is 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. We also connect with a dear friend of mine. His name is Decoding with Cody, 589. He has a very large platform himself. And I've been blessed to connect Rambo with Cody as well. So we get together every week to talk about what's the latest in the news and what we're looking at. So thank you again, Nick. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. And Rambo, please.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nick, for hosting me, and thank you, AJ, for getting us together. And no, it was a great show. It was fun, and thanks for everybody else for their contributions. They had great contributions, and I can be my work can be seen at patreon.com/thetruthcodes, and I'm also on Instagram at thetruthcodes. That's where I can be found.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Again, I really appreciate you guys coming on and the presentations and everything. I love it. It was awesome. I think you definitely had all of us like, what the fuck? And everybody in the chat was loving it, both sides. Before we wrap it up, we'll let the other rejects here. Lisa, thank you very much for joining us. Is there anything you want to say or plug before we wrap it up?
Just that both TJ and Ethan contribute to occultresearchinstitute.org. And please check us out at occultresearchinstitute.org. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Ethan, you want to let everybody know where they can find all your amazing work again?
Yeah, Ethan Indigo Smith. I'm on all the usual suspects of the social media, and always appreciate communication. Got a bunch of writing out there. Rambo, that was awesome. AJ, everybody, thank you so much. And yeah, everyone check out my book, Matrix of Four. I think it's got powerful observation.
Dang it! I ruined it. Sorry, guys. Motion
No,
camera.
you didn't ruin it all. Thanks for the AI camera.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, AJ, and thank you, everybody. That was really interesting, mind blowing.
Thank you. And Ethan, also you do a thing every like Sunday with Headless and Ricardo, right?
That's right. Yeah, Ricardo and Headless and I have been doing the trialogue, and we try to each bring an idea, spontaneous without the others knowing, and just discuss it live. And it's been interesting. It's been positive.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, people check that out if you haven't yet already. And Julia, please let everybody know where they can find your work.
I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Rambo, AJ killed it, loved it. What more can I say? The chat was on fire as well. If I could comment, said some stuff, but it won't let me join the chat for some reason. But hey, if anybody wants to work with me, they can send me an email. Ghost.peach@outlook.com is where you can reach me if you want to work with me, come on my show, or I come on your show. It doesn't matter. I'll go on anybody's show. I don't care. But I had a great time. And thanks again, Nick. This was an awesome episode.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for coming in. And last but not least, TJ, what is going on, sir? Please remind everybody where they can find all your stuff.
Yo, thanks for everyone listening. Thanks for everyone on the panel, Rambo, AJ, everyone else. At Contemporary Problems _ start there. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, all those places. I've been too busy playing music and all that to be podcasting too much over the past couple months, but I also have a couple bands, couple different albums coming out and stuff, so that's pretty hype. I'm pretty stoked on that. So we're entering the studio right away, so now I have time again to be podcasting and all that, so I'm stoked to get back on that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, TJ. Yeah, and again, like I said, it's been a while, but at least you are enjoying yourself. You're doing other things, so that's what's up. I'm glad you're pursuing the music. And thank you everybody in the chat. That is what's up. We had a lot of people in there from other, I guess from the other channel too. And it was great stuff in there, and I really love it when everybody tries to add to it, and that's exactly what happened, and that's why we go live. But until the next one, everybody be well.
Take care.